Comic Timing is member supported by listeners like you over at patreon.com/comic timing. We thank you very much for your continued support of the show. For as little as $1 a month, you get behind the scenes access, you get occasional articles, you get some diary entries, whatever we can throw your way, whenever we can throw it your way. And we thank you very much once again for that support at patreon.com/comic timing. One-time donations are also available at paypal.me/IAM sci-fi. Hey there, folks. My name's Ian Levinstein, and welcome to episode 282 of Comic Timing. Full blue team squad for this one, as it's been a couple of weeks, and we are all in the Zoom for this particular episode. And speaking of Zoom, we'll have more information on what is to come on that at some point this episode. We don't have a date yet for it, but we are going to do something fun as we're approaching our 20th anniversary of the goddamn show. So that happened, and we're celebrating the entire month of May. There won't be a specific celebration on the day of the actual anniversary. We're going to just take May to do some damn fine episodes, and we'll enjoy it all from there. Starting off with the man who speed run recital today, Brent Casino. What's going on, Brent?
Hello, I'm here.
Hello. Directly next to you on the Zoom, Kris Naudus. What's up, Kris?
Hello. I'm going to say, what's more important than the 20th anniversary of Comic Timing? The 20th anniversary of when you and I met Raph.
Oh, my God. Wow. Deacon Brody's, baby. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and I was like, wow, that old man is really interesting. And then I realized that he was my age. So speaking of which, Raph.
He was a baby.
Yes, well, I've only gotten balder since then.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, that's the last one. That's the last one until I gotta fight. I can't fight the urge anymore.
I don't believe you. And moving on from there, Donovan Morgan Grant. What's going on, Dono?
Hello, I am here and ready to have some wonderful throat-clearing conversation tonight.
Excellent.
That's a phrase.
Wow. I've never even thought of clearing my throat on a podcast outside of when I have phlegm. So I appreciate that, Dono. And the man who also appreciates that is Brandon Christopher.
Hello there, everybody. Good to be here, like always. I'm actually here because I don't have to work. It's great.
Yay!
Woo! I work so much now. It's not even funny.
Oh, man. And the man who also has a lot of work to do at all times, but still manages to be on this podcast from time to time, Jamal Igle.
Hi! How's it going? I'm wired.
Boy.
How much caffeine have you had, my friend?
Not as much as I would like to. I did drink a massive amount of coffee this morning, so I'm kind of running on that.
Nice. I started work at about 7 o'clock this morning, and yet somehow I'm not running on fumes, and I appreciate that. But we'll get things started here. We'll get the sad out of the way first, as news broke earlier this week that an absolute legend of the industry, the one and only Gerry Conway, passed away, unfortunately, and. He had let his colleagues and comrades know that he was in his final days about a couple months back, basically. So he kind of had as much as possible. He tried to get in as much as possible and see as many people as possible over the past couple of months. But one of the absolute luminaries of the industry, Gerry Conway, lived from 1952 until 2026. During that time, kind of revitalized and revolutionized comic books with a whole bunch of his creations and the stories that he was behind. Punisher wouldn't exist without Conway's work. Obviously, one of the biggest moments in the history of Spider-Man, which Stan Lee either agreed to or didn't agree to, depending on the day of the week of the interview that he gave. The death of Gwen Stacy, that was another thing that Conway had behind his belt.
Original Clone Saga.
Oh my God, yes, the original Clone Saga. So many more things of note. But yeah, basically, Marvel Comics and comics in general wouldn't be what they are today without Gerry Conway's influence. And I'd love to go, around the table and have people share their thoughts on Gerry. And if you want to mention, maybe some of your favorite works of his, that's also something that you could do as well. Donna, may as well start with you.
Yeah, huge loss. I'm a big fan of Gerry Conway just as a creator, excellent writer. I was probably first introduced to him without knowing because he wrote episodes of both the 90s Spider-Man show and Batman animated series. As you mentioned, he would, because it was like, in terms of Amazing Spider-Man writing, it was like Stan Lee, Roy Thomas, Stan Lee again for a couple of issues, and then Gerry Conway. And I've read every issue of Amazing Spider-Man up to 300. Conway's like a top 5, if not top 3 run of ASM. I mean, not only was he writing that when he was like 19, but like that era where he was writing with Gil Kane and Romita Sr. on pencils and inks, it's superlative, can't be topped. Hammerhead, Punisher, as you mentioned, the Jackal. Later on, when he was in DC, he created Jason Todd, Killer Croc. I know he was briefly. I know that through the 70s, Marvel had a lot of editors. He ran at one point, but excellent creator. I think that like in terms of Spider-Man, obviously Lee and Ditko created the kind of like thoughtful, introspective superhero character. I think Conway really brought that. I really kept that up in earnest, especially as the books got darker.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of the Roy Thomas run, which is only a few issues, but like that felt a lot more super heroic. Like if you read the issues after Gwen dies, Peter, he's depressed. He's experiencing shock. He has nervous breakdowns. It's very realistic, as well as like writing the issues where like Harry Osborn was the Green Goblin. Bringing Peter and Mary Jane together, the end to ASM 122, where Mary Jane closes the door, is seen as iconic. The last issue of his Amazing Spider-Man run ends with Peter and Mary Jane going inside the room, and he closes the door on that. So there's some interesting symmetry there. At one point, he was writing Spectacular and Web in the 80s. I've not read enough of those runs, but from what I've read of Spectacular, was great as well. I was privileged to meet him at Comic-Con a few years back. I'll send you the image in a sec, but like just a wonderful creator. I was really feeling the loss when the news broke. It's kind of funny because like the last time I had seen him, my buddy Josh and I were on the con floor, and we ran into him and Lin Wein just chilling. And of course, that was the last time I'd seen Lin Wein because he'd passed away later on. Then like a few years later, Conway passes away. But huge. I mean, he was an older fellow, and I don't believe he was active. But just in terms of comic book history, huge loss, and he will always be remembered.
Yeah, 73 years old when he passed, and something that you mentioned there, the fact that he was writing comics at the age of 19. I mean, yeah, sure, Shooter had him beat, with his like 13-year-old stuff. Yes. But still, like to be writing at the level that he was before he even hit the age of 20 is kind of ridiculous. Very few creators get to say that they were able to achieve that and make that happen. So absolutely. Brandon, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, my exposure to Conway really wasn't as a writer; it's more of an editor. And when he was overseeing the Superman group, and of course, the biggest story at that time when we were kids was the death of Superman.
Of course.
So, him overseeing and just juggling all that and keeping, it was 93, so a 8-year-old entertained still, and then going back and finding out like he did so much more work beyond that. Like even at DC, creating characters like Power Girl and the revitalization of those Golden Age characters also. It's just, and that kind of gave me my love for like the JSA and things like that. Overseeing, I think he even oversaw the JSA book from the 90s. So the one
yes,
from 92, I want to say 92, 93.
I believe you're right about that. Yeah, I remember them adding that to the DC Infinite not too long ago and checking out a few issues, and it was all excellent.
Yeah, and like just having such a reverence for what came before and finding ways to incorporate that into modern comics while keeping it fresh. Just honestly, like Donovan said, like he was the person to really um, usher in the door, usher in a lot of people, usher in a lot of people into the door through modern storytelling to older characters, and that's a skill which is missed and sorely lacking now.
Yeah. No, you mentioned JSA also. He was pivotal in some of those JLA JSA crossovers that happened. I mean, along with Roy Thomas in the 70s and 80s. So that's certainly something there. And him and Roy co-wrote that Superman Captain Marvel team up in DC Comics Presents, which was essentially the first time officially that Captain Marvel and Superman were within the same universal space. Obviously post-Crisis that became a little bit more linear there, but kind of brought him into the fold of DC at the time with that story. So yeah, he's got tons of stuff under his belt. Raph,
well, Superman and Spider-Man, I think, too, right?
Oh yeah, that too. Yes. Let me double check that actually, because I'm kind of looking over his entire thing here, which I mean makes sense considering Superman, Spider-Man, being back in the public eye right now. That crossover. Let me see. Gerry Conway. Yes, you are correct. The Superman versus Spider-Man Battle of the Century from 1976 was Conway. So. Yep. Raph, obviously, Brandon probably stole your thunder by mentioning the whole Death of Superman stuff, but I'm sure you've got more where that came from.
Actually, I was thinking more about his BTAS stuff. Because I just happened to look up which episodes he wrote. Second Chance, which is the one where they do plastic surgery on Two-Face to make him whole again.
Oh yeah.
And then the other one is a season 1 episode. It's the Crime Alley one with I think the first appearance of Leslie Tompkins, played by Dr. Pulaski, Diana Muldaur.
Yep.
And I between that and between his work, his Spider-Man work is very kind of like maybe not my like main era of Spider-Man, but like, I mean, come on, the death of Gwen Stacy, that's like one of the biggest Spider-Man stories of all time. And then maybe depending on how you feel, the Ben Reilly and the Clone Saga doesn't exist without the original Clone Saga. And that's
Thank
a
God
huge
for him.
chunk of the 90s.
Hey, for good and for bad.
Not to mention, some his late Bronze Age Superman stuff, which I've read a little bit of. I mean, the guy's made so much. The guy had a very long career. He's created a lot of beloved characters. He's created the most misinterpreted character of all time in The Punisher.
Yeah.
And he has a lot of key moments and a lot of key characters that define like our childhoods, right? As children of the 80s and 70s, some of us, one of us, Jamal. Not to mention, he's such a great guy. Like I met him. He's one of the first major creators I met because back when it was pre-New York Comic Con, back when I was doing Big Apple Con, when that was the only convention I could go to, in that really dingy hotel that no longer exists, I think.
Oh, it most definitely doesn't exist. The Pennsylvania does not.
I haven't
exist.
been in the area in a while, so I don't know if they tore it down yet. But that he was one of the big creators that was there. Him, Neil Adams, I got to meet them all, and I remember him being really nice and being really gracious with his time, because I'm this like dumb 19-year-old kid going, oh my god, I love your work, and I just didn't really know what else to do except fanboy all over him, which
Right.
I learned to get better at, I think, in 2024, 2025, like around that time. But yeah, what an incredible career, what an incredible body of work, and so many things that mean so much to all of us, right? Like
Yeah.
so many moments, so many characters, so many creations.
Absolutely, yeah. I may as well go linear in the Zoom order and head to Kris next. So Kris.
Well, no, yeah, don't mansplain mute me. I was gonna say, yeah. So like, well, Rafa, just the hotel, Pennsylvania, that was torn down. It is a giant hole in the ground. They should have built something new by now, but they have not because there's been funding issues, is arguing over how it's supposed to be zoned. I think they wanted to build another hotel, and then other people are like, we don't need more hotels. I don't, whatever. Not comics related, not Gerry Conway related.
Yeah.
The thing is, there's nothing I can really add to what you guys have already said. Like, I've read all the classic stories that you guys have mentioned.
Yeah.
Though today I learned, as I was just looking to see if there was any other work that maybe I wasn't familiar with, that he was a very prolific TV writer.
Yes.
And was a producer on many shows, but the fact that he was a producer on and wrote 18 episodes of Father Dowling Mysteries.
I didn't know that was the one that you were going to mention.
Wow.
Poor memory unlocked. Jesus.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm shocked by some of these shows. I see Diagnosis Murder.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he was a producer for 87 episodes of Law and Order Criminal Intent.
I learned that not too long ago. That he was a Law and Order producer, and that just made me enjoy him that much more. Because like, if you get that Dick Wolf money, man, good for you.
I mean, that's like a whole other discussion about how so many comic creators have admitted, and we've talked about this. We talk about it with like when we talked about Peter David, is that they make more money off of their TV residuals than they do off of the comics that we would remember them for. And I'm sure Conway, that's like where most of his money was. Like, I mean, you guys can correct me, but I didn't hear as many financial tales of woe out of Gerry Conway as I did out of a lot of other creators. I'm like, he, ultimately still got sick and died, but
right.
It's just, I mean, he's only slightly older than my mom, so I don't know how I feel about that particular age to die at. But yeah, it just that's very interesting to me. I was also thinking about, I was like, oh yeah, he's from New York, but he lives in California, and like so many comic creators did that. But I think that ties into what I just said about the TV being able to make a better living out there. And again, whole other topic. I don't mean to derail our memorial here.
I must point out as well that the USA Network would not have been the USA Network without Gerry Conway, as he was an executive producer on Pacific Blue and Silk Stockings. Yes.
Yeah, this is just a rabbit hole that just keeps giving, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
man.
Peter did a bunch of Star Trek stuff, and Gerry Conway did a bunch of like Silk Stockings.
Yes, and Hercules: The Legendary Journeys, but we don't talk about the start of that. Brent, your thoughts on Conway?
I've not read a bunch of Gerry Conway, so I don't have many thoughts other than I think the biggest memories I have of is when I started listening to podcasts and listening to people interview him and him telling stories about working in the old days, and then learning about the history of comic books that way. And you guys have pointed out a lot of things that he did influence me on. Batman the Animated Series, Spider-Man the Animated Series, et cetera, et cetera. Not Pacific Blue, but yeah, he's had a lasting impact on everybody as a fan, because you just went over the amount of stories that he wrote in that foundational era of the 70s and 80s for Spider-Man and Jason Todd and all that stuff. And love it or hate it, whatever those were, like they impacted a story you love in some way.
Absolutely. Plus, there's an alternate universe where other than the alternate universe where James Cameron made his Spider-Man, that Orion Pictures and Nelvana were going to make a live-action X-Men film at one point, and Conway wrote the script to that. So
Is that online?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to try to track that one down. But yeah, they went bankrupt and it didn't wind up happening. But think of how different the superhero scope would be. We'd have yet another bad superhero movie that was made during the 80s that we could probably make fun of. But yeah, that's another what if that we can add to the pile there. And Jamal, of course, the floor is yours.
So this one hurt.
Yeah.
A little bit. So Gerry Conway was probably the first architect of DC Comics that I knew by name when I was a kid. I literally own every Gerry Conway written issue of Firestorm. I think people don't really understand like how big at one point Gerry was. I mean, Gerry was literally the Scott Snyder, Jeff Johns of his day.
Absolutely.
Like he was the literal architect at both DC and Marvel, building entire universes and storylines, not just as a writer but as an editor. Just first, you gotta. There's two things that I feel like I should say, which is one being fuck cancer.
Hell yeah.
No one should have to die at 71 years old. I'm closer to it than you guys, but 71 to me is still relatively young.
Yeah.
So, and that's the idea that Gerry had so much success in comics and then went on and became a huge success in television. Like, not minor, like huge. Like started out on like the original Law and Order and then became a producer on Criminal Intent.
Correct. Yeah. Yep.
So, and then was it? I got to look at his IMDb again, but wasn't he a writer or a producer on Superboy as well?
I think he might have been. Yeah. I'm heading to it now just to take a look at all the things.
I wouldn't be surprised because I know that Carlin and Andy Helfer wrote episodes of Superboy, so that he would have been their in.
I've never seen an episode of that show. I never know it existed until I was an adult.
I watched that show as a little kid.
Yeah,
yep.
I do remember it.
Dono, it's all we had.
I was around just in time for Lois and Clark. That's my earliest memories.
Yeah, so I don't see Superboy listed on his IMDb. Right. However, 5 episodes of G.I. Joe, 2 episodes of Transformers, some My Little Pony thrown in there for good measure.
And Fire and Ice.
Yes. Yeah.
The Basky movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It says that he wrote it with Roy Thomas.
Yep.
Is what I saw elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like that movie, I'm not going to say it was like seminal to me. It's just I watched way too many animated movies that were not intended for my age.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of them.
Understood.
Classic 80s experience for a child.
Yeah, it says Ralph Bakshi, Frank Frazetta, Roy Thomas under writers for the movie. But Gerry Conway's listed on his page. So this is just IMDb being weird for me.
Yeah.
He also wrote the story for Conan the Destroyer.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
So he worked on both Conan and Hercules. So how about that?
So I'm sure his Hollywood experience was probably much better than Frank Miller's.
Oh, certainly. Most definitely the case. Yeah. He didn't run screaming like Frank had to out of Hollywood. So yes.
Yeah. Did he get killed on screen like Frank always does?
No. But yeah, no, I think that it's an incredibly well-rounded career, and just the amount of characters that he had a hand in, that he created. I mean, yeah, the version of Jason Todd that he created was not the version of Jason Todd that we have today, but the character would not exist without him. So we can very much, thank him for the, Dick Grayson clone that we got at the time, which then evolved into something very, very different over a period of time. But really, like, with all the death that we've had in comic books, we've talked about this a little bit on the show before, just when we brought up the death of Gwen Stacy in various forms. But with all the death that we have in comic books, like, that was a very important moment in comics. Back then, people didn't come back three issues later because they were better. Back then, they weren't replaced by an actress who was then killed and then found in a bunker like Aunt May was. Like,
I was just talking about that on the phone like an hour ago about how overlooked in terms of how stupid that is. But
Yeah.
I read repeatedly over the years that Conway, even as 2021, believed that comic books would be on the way out. Because if you read his Spider-Man run, like, it's actually not just Gwen Stacy. I mean, like, he writes a story where, like, he believed that Mysterio is killed.
Oh yeah.
You read the Doc Ock and Aunt May marriage issue, Hammerhead and Doc Ock presumably die in a nuclear explosion. Now, of course, they come back, but, like, in Conway's run, he kind of started killing people off left and right.
Absolutely. Which, good for him. quite.
I mean, it made the stories have more weight. I mean, you didn't necessarily believe everyone, but
Yeah.
I mean, like, if you've not read The Death of Gwen Stacy, it really is a classic. It's not just one of those, like, well, if you read it, it's silly because it's the 70s. I mean, it helps with Romita Senior's inks, but, like, it's every bit as dramatic. And like when Peter, Gwen dies, she's given up to the police, and then Peter goes to talk to Harry to find out where Norman is and beat the fuck out of him. He takes his mask off and he's freaking out. Like you can see the look in his eyes. It's like, I'm gonna kill this guy. And that was uncommon back then in superhero comics.
No, absolutely. Plus, to bring up one of his later works, I mean, I haven't read it in years, but I remember really enjoying it at the time. The Last Days of Animal Man, which came out back in 2009 with Chris Batista on the artwork. I remember really enjoying, kind of as like a the end story, similar to what Marvel was doing at the time. Only this one was supposed to be for Animal Man, as his powers are slowly disappearing, and he's running out of time.
That's a great cover.
Kind of fitting, for Gerry's passing to look back on a story that was, basically made to be a quote unquote final story for the character of Animal Man to throw out there. So anybody who hasn't checked that out, it's on the Infinite app and available, in trade and a whole bunch of other places if you wanted to go and check it out. So wanted to make sure I brought that up as well. Yeah, really, just like the industry wouldn't be what it is right now without him, and we greatly appreciate you, Gerry. So here's to that.
Briefly, have we mentioned Sam Kieth on the show?
No, we mentioned it very quickly in passing on a previous episode, but by all means, please go right ahead.
Yeah, I mean, let's just say, because I'm less familiar with the work, but I saw the Max animated series, but I would say that, like, I was affected by Sam Kieth's passing more than I was expecting to, because I've read Zero Girl. It was like, I enjoyed it years ago. I don't want to pretend like I'm a giant Sam Kieth aficionado, but I really was a fan of his style. And growing up as a kid in the 90s, when comics were going through a certain period, his style was very endemic of that experimental era. And so when he passed away, I really felt that, because he was such an idiosyncratic voice in comic book artwork, and nobody was like Sam Kieth. And so, like, I would, just to have it out there that, like, I really wish him well beyond, just because, like, he was a terrific artist.
Absolutely, yeah, no question about it. Not to mention, co-creator of Sandman, Gaiman's Sandman, and he was, when we got to the era of, like, the the pointy-eared Batman. Like his is the pointy-eared Batman that I go to as the one that I feel like works the best. It's absolutely just his style that makes it work, but like they're ridiculously sized and I don't care.
Yeah, well,
his Wolverine's like that too.
yeah. Well, like, we've talked in the past about Gotham, how much I love that show because I said it felt like the comics. And there's been, we're talking, decades of Batman comics. But for me, that feeling and will always be that era of Batman when like people like Sam Kieth were working on it, when they kind of leaned harder into things like gothic, horror, and just feeling off balance, slightly like teetering on the insanity, like the story Arkham Asylum, the famous, was that Grant Morrison?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that like to me, if you were to ask me like, oh, what is like Batman to you? I will always think of a Sam Kieth illustration because I think he always demonstrated that grandiosity and like the fact that no sane person takes on this crusade. I know I'm not articulating it well right now, but it just, like his art, like just says Batman to me. Just everything that is, because I mean, Batman can be a lot of things, but to me, it's always just been, a man fighting a hopeless battle, a person haunted by their past. And like Gotham City is just this big, gothic horror. I mean, it's called Gotham, but it is like that genre, like the gothic romance, right?
And I mean, say what you will or say what you won't about the Batman movies from the from the 80s and 90s, but like Batman and Batman Returns, that's gothic Batman. Like that's definitely what was being brought to the table with Burton's style, and Kieth embodied that in a very different way. By creating a personality to Gotham itself. Like, I don't like when Gotham is just drawn as a slightly dirtier New York. Like, that doesn't work for me. Like, I like when Gotham has its own aesthetic.
There has to be an underlying sense of sadness and decay. Like you say, slightly dirty New York, and it's just like, okay, so you just mean New York during the 70s. And that's not just because I live in New York, but that's very uninteresting to me. But again, I mentioned gothic fiction, gothic romance, and to have the city actually live up to that genre is definitely what I think. Again, but that's not just Sam Kieth doing that. I'll be, to be fair, like all of the writers of the time were kind of contributing to that era. The thing what you said about with the Burton movies, the fact that the Burton movies didn't feel sad. They didn't feel like there was the tragedy, but they didn't have that melancholy underlying them.
They were just a teensy bit campy.
Yes,
they're all
Teensy,
campy. Let's
teensy
not
bit.
pretend that none of those movies are campy.
No. It's just, it was like a 3, and then Schumacher turned it up to like 10, and then took a sledgehammer to the thing, and then rebuilt it and put 100 on it, and then broke that.
It might may vary because you have the Anton First design from the first one, and then like how it looks in the Returns, the giant naked statues in Batman and Robin, Philadelphia in the Nolan films, and how it looks in the Batman. I mean,
Chicago, actually, not Philadelphia.
It's Chicago.
Chicago, that's Philadelphia. Your miles are vary.
Same
I mean, like,
thing.
if it's
Wow,
me,
no,
it's the animated series.
Hey,
if it feels like every skyscraper is like a million miles up, that's Gotham to me.
Hey, well, what I like the most about the third Nolan movie is how all of a sudden Chicago becomes New York, because like we're in Chicago and then magically we're transported to Wall Street. And
Actually, it's Pittsburgh.
No. There is a scene that was actually filmed
on Wall Street.
When they capture the scan and the laptop and the thing, and Batman comes back for the first time, and the EMP gun, and yeah.
I'm in New York. I'm in Chicago. I'm in the combination New York and Chicago.
That's the second time I've heard that joke today. I don't know why. Oh God.
Because it's a good joke.
It is. It is. It absolutely is.
I'm also gonna break your brains. Like, and now that we're talking about like Burton, Gotham City, and now I'm just thinking of Megalopolis.
Oh my God.
Now when I think about it, I'm like, wait, Megalopolis is a Batman setting. It's not. I mean, it might even be a Batman story. Not a very good one, but
Megalopolis is one of the Megalopolis is one of the biggest disasters of a film I've ever seen in my life.
I want to see it.
It is so bad, but it's also weirdly beautiful, but also so bad and so bad and so bad.
Well, I think Penny Arcade had the best. Yeah, no, Penny Arcade. Tycho. Sorry, yeah, Tycho had the best. Gerry had the best opinion on it. I think when he said that basically Coppola was able to make the movie he'd been wanting to make for decades, work with all the people he's ever wanted to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, if this is failure, let me fail right now.
Yeah. Seriously, like
fail he did.
Oh, he sure did, to the point where it's very hard to find a copy of this film.
Oh man.
Yeah, no, you can find it, through means easily enough. But
it was streaming. Yeah, it was streaming long enough that people have pirated it because he pulled it off of streaming because he wanted to control it. Because I think he realized that people were just watching it ironically, and he hated that. But I'm like, nope, sorry, we're watching it ironically.
Yeah, but that's called having FU money.
Oh, absolutely,
that's true.
That's like, I can do whatever I want because it's my studio, my film. Mm-hmm. I'm distributing it. I don't have to kiss up to anybody else. So I don't care how weird it is.
He did have to sell one of his vineyards, though.
Oh no!
Oh no! That image,
but that's still
the image that Ian put up there. That looks like a Doctor Who image.
It does because it probably also is one.
He does have. I made 2 great Godfather movies money.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. 2.5 because the recut of 3 actually makes it watchable.
Did he recut it? Or
yes,
did someone else do it? Okay.
He did it. Yeah.
Okay.
He was there on the ground floor to recut it. If you haven't actually seen the Corleone cut of Godfather 3,
Corleone cut.
I saw it on Paramount Plus.
Yeah, it adds a completely different opening sequence that's way better than the one that was in the original version of Godfather 3. Plus, there's a couple of edits and added and removed scenes that just make it flow way better. So yeah, there's a decent version of Godfather 3 out there, but it wasn't the one that was released at first. So, what are you gonna do? Speaking of,
I know my favorite Gotham is in Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Oh, there you go.
I feel like this could be a whole other episode where we just talk about our favorite gothic things.
We very much could, and that is something that we could do. Instead, let's talk about layoffs at Marvel.
Yeah.
Can I just say, you've screwed up when Evangeline Lilly is complaining?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that.
I'm like, oh boy.
I missed that.
Yeah, that's very recent. Evangeline Lilly came out against the disgusting and horrible "shame on you" layoffs that occurred at Marvel just in the past couple of hours. Shame on you for turning your back on the people who built the power you are now using to throw them away. Lilly captioned her Instagram post with. This is coming from a woman who is no longer acting. So that's.
Well, she's not acting for health reasons. That's why.
No. I know. But still, there were over 1,000 layoffs at Marvel, Disney. Over the past couple of weeks, basically the entire art department of the movies got laid off. They're now saying they're going to go on a contract basis. The contract's name is AI. And there were also a few layoffs at Marvel Comics as well. I know Marvel Comics lost a couple of editors in the culling, and there were other people who lost. Nick Lowe, yes, exactly. Nick Lowe no longer.
Oh no!
Wait, no, that's not true.
Oh wait,
that's
no,
not true.
No. Sorry, you put the words in my mouth there, man. No. Marvel's layoffs in the editorial department were. Hold on, let me get the actual names of the editors that were laid off. Warren Bissum, Devin Lewis, and Darren Shan.
Darren?
Yeah.
I know Darren from my Midtown days. He's very nice.
That
makes me sad. He used to work at DC, incidentally.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Do you find it weird that these names are like public?
No, not really. They usually are with big companies like this when the layoffs occur. Quite frankly, I think it's hard. It's hard for it not to be public when you're a public-facing company and you have a byline. You know, like. There's a big difference between that and people who just work at a company where they don't have a presence to begin with. If that
very
makes sense.
famously, WWE has their release season, and in recent years, some of their like behind the scenes employees have been laid off, and people learn about it because WWE is the front facing, on TV, on streaming entertainment company, and so is Marvel. Marvel is Marvel.
Yeah,
they're periodical, so that's why.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm not saying that's great, Brent. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like,
I'm not saying that it's celebrated. I don't know if I never met any of these people, and I don't want anybody to be laid off. It's a terrible thing to go through, but I don't know that they would want their names out there, like to be not celebrated, but neither celebrated nor mourned. I don't know.
Well, it's not hard to hide if you post it on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Well, that's why if they post about it, then it's one thing.
And most of these people are doing, most of these people are doing exactly that because, quite frankly, that's how you get a new job. I know that in the past there have been editors that have been laid off that within a couple of months in the comics industry wind up getting a new position because they were well liked to begin with, and they get gobbled up by another one. So whether or not it's going to happen with these guys, I certainly wish them the best because of these three, quite frankly, and I mean I hate to say it like this, these are not the editors that I would have wanted to see leave the company, quite frankly.
That's kind of what I was driving at. Like I heard Brandon say something, and
no, but I'm
like, are we rooting for people to get laid off? Like, I get it if you're like the editor in chief or whatever, and you can say whatever you want about Akira Yorishida, CB Cebulski, whatever the fuck his name is, and that bullshit.
Akira Yoshida.
He's still getting away with that.
Like that's the type of thing. I'd be like, all right, he's a front facing person of the company, but a regular editor that doesn't, these are not the day. I guess I'm a little not indifferent. I'm a little more hesitant to be like, oh, these people got laid off because this is like another sad thing. Fucking Newsarama is dead. I mean, it's been dead a while, but now it's officially dead. But we are not in the days of when we started Comic Timing and there was a weekly column with an editor of, we had the 52 weekly column with Steve Wacker, and then later on it was his follow-on, right? The guy that took over for him.
Mike Siglain.
Mike Siglain, thank you. And there's no longer a weekly column with the editor-in-chief, Joe Quesada. There's no longer these regular interviews of these editors. So, like, in my brain, the public-facing editor doesn't exist anymore. And I don't think that them having a Twitter profile or whatever is them being public-facing. Everybody has a Twitter or Blue Sky or whatever.
It's more. Read Amazing Spider-Man. Nick Colo did bring back the letters page, and it is very much as like, all singing, all dancing, loudmouth, as the classic letter pages would be. But in fairness, I think that's the only comic book in the stands right now, at least of the big two that does that.
There's also, it's not quite a like a bullpen bulletins type thing, but in more recent Marvel comics, I know that's just by reading the one, one of the ones that I'm going to be talking about later on. They do have a page reminiscent to when we were growing up in the 90s, where they're spotlighting, upcoming issues of things, and like they have like a back issue of the month that's going to be relevant to a storyline going on and things like that. That's a little bit similar to what we had, just no editor-in-chief words to be said on there. However, when it comes down to it, if you have a byline on a book, you are officially front-facing. Like that's the way it goes. And
I'm not a journalism guy, so I don't know.
no,
Also, I mean, they also they also lead the panels at conventions.
yes, they do. Yeah.
So yeah, they are public facing. It's just not necessarily in that, Joey Quesadilla way.
Yeah, because comics journalism outside of Comics Beat, there ain't shit. like Brian Cronin still exists, God bless him, over at CBR, and he's got his own stuff on his own website.
CBR.
But like Brian Cronin's the only one that I give a shit about over there.
Well, there is Popverse who wrote the obituary for Newsarama.
Yes. Yeah,
and the person who wrote the obituary for Newsarama was the
Chris
editor-in-chief of Newsarama at one point.
Well, there you go. There you go.
So there is that.
Popverse is of course owned by Reed, so I do want to point that out. Although they have actually been pretty okay with like not like being a promotional arm of Reed. Like they do for the most part have editorial integrity, and I do appreciate that. But yeah, like the comic book journalism space is very, very different now. There is a magazine again, as Raph knows from being on previous episodes in the past couple months.
Run by my friends. Well,
Exactly.
some friends.
Is it what's the name of it again? Is it
Comics the Magazine?
There you go. Comics the Magazine is now available in a very Wizard-esque style, minus the pomp and circumstance of Wizard. Just trying to have a magazine out there that promotes comics and is available for people to check out. So Comics the Magazine may be something else that you want to look at in that particular space. But I do want to talk about Marvel just a little bit more. The layoffs are disturbing in multiple ways. One, because this was basically the guys who drove the look, feel, and personality of the Marvel Cinematic Universe from jump. Like from the days of we made this movie in a cave with a box of scraps to the machine that it later became in television and movies. And yes, we can also fully agree with the fact that there have been entirely digital Marvel movies in the past couple of years that have not looked anywhere near as striking nor as beautiful as they have in the past. However, part of me also feels like that's not their fault, because everybody just went so volume heavy that it was hard to do anything with actual physical sets for the past couple of years. And now it looks like they're embracing the, we're going to hire people as we need them model and use AI as much as possible in this production here. And frankly, that ain't good.
Yeah, I this is the one where it struck me. I was like, well, these are the guys whose names I knew, because you had Marvel putting out the art of books all the time, and plastered all over the front is, Ryan Meyerding and Andy Park. And I would look at those two artists, and I would honestly, I had a hard time telling the difference between one and the other. Now, maybe because they're doing likenesses half the time in those books, right? Of their cast members. They know who's going to be cast, and they start developing that way. Like a lot of the stuff I feel like they would print are not their initial designs. It's more like, hey, we did some designs, and then, oh yeah, we cast this person, slap their face on there so that we can print their likeness or whatever. So it didn't really feel like there was a design idea, because they're all finished digital paintings, I guess, in my brain. But that was one where I was like, maybe we might benefit a little bit, because those two guys and their team have been so consistent in a style that I thought maybe it hampered the Marvel Universe a little bit. I think the only times you got something new was when you got to, Thor or Guardians, but across the Earthbound heroes, it seemed like it was even, kind of samey. And even when you had the Eternals come in, the Eternals uniforms looked like Thor uniforms, and it was kind of like, well, they don't really feel that different almost. So I don't know. This if they hire actual new artists, it could be a little bit different. That might be a nice change.
They did kind of. I mean, I don't want to say they
years.
created it, but they did kind of begin that sort of trend of the superhero costume, where it's like more detailed than necessary. The lines, kind of like the sort of like military armor aesthetic. And that's not I'm not even in the mood to really like, turn the conversation into that. I think that the fact that like this corporate AI wave happening, before our eyes is just almost too depressing to face.
Oh yeah.
But also like the fact that like, we were headed towards another, flashpoint in the MCU, the fact that they're going to do this now, just before Doomsday is out, before we've even had a trailer out, and before Secret Wars is even made, it does feel like a stupid move that could, be a portent towards the ruination of something like the MCU.
Well, we have an actual artist on this call. So, Jamal, I did mute you momentarily. So yeah, good. Glad you unmuted yourself there. So obviously, I mean, we all know you like ranting about AI. So I give you the opportunity, sir. And for that matter, seeing all these layoffs, like it ain't pretty, man.
Okay, so let me first pose this question before Jamal rants. So where is for people listening who may not be tuned into all the stuff, where is the implication that Marvel Studios is going to use AI other than the Disney Sora partnership that they had that is now dissolved, right? So I'm guessing, like, where are we getting this idea that they're going to leverage AI other than the AI and the ether idea? Is there something in particular that we're pulling from to
I think there was
feed
I
this?
think there was a spokesman a couple of months ago who was talking about just like for Disney, not for Marvel Studios, but for Disney, who was talking about across the board integration of generative AI and AI processes in order to speed up the filmmaking process and to cut down on the expense and blah blah blah, yada yada yada, bullshit bullshit bullshit. So yeah, so that's where a lot of people are getting it from. And frankly, you get rid of the entire art team that has developed your universe for the last 16 years, who you honed into this machine. Like, they didn't come in with these design aesthetics. They honed these design aesthetics over the last almost 2 decades working for Marvel Studios. This was the look that Marvel Studios developed. Now, if they wanted to move on to, other creators, that is absolutely their prerogative. That is absolutely their prerogative to do as a creative engine, as a corporate entity, whatever. I wouldn't like it necessarily, but I would understand it. That's just the way things go. You want to refresh, you want to bring in fresh ideas. That's great. Not great, like, yay, great, like, I get it. I understand. That's, that's, entertainment,
Right.
I mean, from a corporate side, it could also be like, Andy Park and the guys underneath him and Ryan Meyerding, if Meyerding's staying, but they could be, had they been there so long term, they might be really expensive compared to other options. If they'd been there continuously year after year with raises and all this stuff, like it may be more of a corporate thing. Like, we need a cost cutting measure. And these guys are the most expensive guys on the team other than executives. They bring a lot of value. I'm not saying that they don't. I'm just, speculating here.
No, I see that part as well, Brent, but at the same time, like, that just makes me think, like, there used to be such a thing, in this world as like stability, like longevity and stability,
I'm championing that.
That used to exist. I mean, part of my villain origin actually was getting fired from my marketing job and just saying, screw this, I'm just going to do comics full time.
Well,
and realizing that that stability didn't exist anymore.
Michael Uwandi in the Polygon article that I just had on the screen for anybody watching the video version. There's a pull quote here from him. Working in house, you get inspired and motivated by your fellow coworkers. I would get inspired and I'd be like, oh man, I got to step it up. Not being in house, it's a lot less personal. And I think that may be an immediate detriment that we find, where when you just have, and mind you, they already had, we notice on the visual effects front, like when you look at these, and plus this has come up in previous years as well, about how scattered the visual effects houses are and how, under how much of a time crunch they are to begin with. But like when you have 73 visual effects departments working on one movie, that's another way how you get muddled. But when you don't have nearly as cohesive a unit working together on even the conceptual phase of a movie, that's a detriment. That's not a positive. Like teamwork is teamwork, plain and simple. And if you're all working as individuals and you're not really, becoming a team in that process, the movies are going to suffer in the end.
I mean, there's certainly something to being a team in a room working together. You have the Marvel bullpen for the comics example. I felt it when we had the mandatory return to office thing at the beginning of last year when Trump came back for the government side. And, we were in the office 3 days a week regardless, but before then, but the 5 days a week thing, like I did feel a shift, and, I'm not ungrateful for it. Like I'd rather be working at home every other, day like I was, but there's good and bad things that came from it, but definitely there is more of people on the same page. And I understand that quote that he's saying, that like, when you're in the office and you see somebody turn in something awesome, you're like, oh man, I could do that, or I could riff on that. I got a better idea than that, although I love that. And yeah, if you're doing contract work and then remotely, I'm assuming you're probably not going to get that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
From what I understand, I think it was, I don't remember where I heard this. It was an article or someone discussing it, but I think they're moving to a model where it's like, oh, it's basically instead of being in-house, you're freelance. So they don't have to cover your benefits, your health insurance, all of that. And it's like, oh, hey, instead of working for us 12 months a year, oh, we've got our Black Panther 3 is coming out here. You got a 6-month job now. And then after that 6 months, you're out of here. But you can come back in another 8 months when we do, Shang-Chi 2, which we're definitely going to do.
Hey, Raph, you already mentioned it. That's called the WWE model. That's called the contractor model of we don't want to give you any benefits, and we want to save ourselves that amount of money in the process, while at the same time screwing over the worker in the end.
And incidentally, it just came out, I think yesterday or today, that one of the heads of TKO said that they use AI in all aspects of WWE.
Of course they do. Of course they do. Yeah.
And
what does that mean?
For any of there was just a promo that came out that was almost straight AI. Like they're using it as for visual supplements.
There was a video package that was straight up AI not that long ago.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're a $1 billion company.
And the Olympics had AI in the opening ceremony.
Oh God,
That's
and
how
it was
bad
terrible.
it's gone.
It was terrible too. Yeah.
Those BK Bullets thumbnails have AI in them. The fucking asshole.
Well, no, it's that because you're
terrible at Photoshop.
The half Superman Batman image. I was like, that doesn't look like cosplay.
I mean, that's my face. That's my picture. I took the picture and said, "Hey, turn me into composite Superman and Batman," and then I had to add I told it what background to have. So,
well, that same Polygon article at the end has another source remaining anonymous that says, in regards to AI, I definitely feel that that's a part of it. A lot of things are being driven towards AI. There were other teams that were already using AI. I don't know if Marvel ever declared that or not, but a lot of them were using it. Not the visual development team, but the other teams that would come in, like the art departments and stuff, or the costume designers. They were already using it. And a third member of the visual development team, who also wished to remain anonymous, insists the move has less to do with technology than the way Disney is thinking about full-time labor versus contractor work, which is exactly what Raph said there. So, yeah, It all sucks.
Yeah,
Man.
it's funny you bring up the costume design because I remember reading an article. It might have been Aftermath actually posted this, and they talked to, I think they were talking to like people like costume designers, and they were talking about how AI is a disaster because they will get, their bosses coming in with a design like, hey, make this. But the thing is that the generative AI doesn't understand how fabric works. It doesn't understand the historic, like if they ask, oh, I want like a Viking costume. The generative AI doesn't understand the historical eras. It doesn't care about accuracy. Like they said, trying to build these things is a absolute nightmare. So it's interesting that you said that they might be using it in costuming because it's like, yeah, but somebody still has to build that. The AI can't generate the costume also.
Right.
And the AI's research is dog shit.
Absolutely.
And oh, what was I gonna say? Oh, I miss the days where if we were talking about this, we'd all get really confused and say, why does Allen Iverson have such a huge role at Marvel right now? I miss those days.
Was that the guy in Uncut Gems?
No,
That
that
was
was
Kevin
Kevin
Garnett.
Garnett. That was Kevin
And
Garnett.
that's the
Al
second
Iverson
time.
had the cornrows.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the second time I've heard Kevin Garnett mentioned today.
Good for you.
Because I listened to the episode of the Lonely Island podcast where they were talking about I'm on a boat.
The greatest song ever made.
And by the way, to absolutely completely date this episode for anybody listening to it, 6 months from now, as we are recording this, the Knicks are up by nearly 50 points.
Oh, thank God.
So I think they're making it to the next round of the playoffs, unless
cool.
a miracle happens. But
Yeah,
Mom Donnie front row.
yes.
Oh, I
Man,
did
talking
see.
about practice.
I don't know if you guys saw. There's a photo going around. It's very funny. It's Tina Fey sitting next to Timothy Chalamet.
Yes. Yeah, with Chalamet completely manspreading and like giving her no room to breathe.
Yeah, he's man spreading. The funny thing is I was like, I think he's actually physically closer to her than his own girlfriend in that photo. So
There's
now
a lot
I'm
of
just,
photos like that going around right now.
yeah. So now I'm just shipping Timothy Chalamet and Tina Fey.
Oh my God.
I was like, no, you'd be
Tina
much
Chalamet?
better off. But, yeah. To go back to
Tina Chalamet, exactly. Yeah.
But to go back, I don't want to totally turn this into a thing about AI or anything, but the thing about laying off the artists and being like, hey, let's do contractual labor, which has been plaguing the video games industry for, I would say, like 2 decades now.
Yeah.
And the problem is you can't build institutional memory like that. And we make the point, but I don't think they care about that anymore because like generative AI doesn't have institutional memory really.
No, it doesn't.
Like it'll remember what you just said to it 5 minutes ago, but it doesn't have it just doesn't work that way where it like remembers, oh, this is, preferable. I know some people might listen to this and say, oh, but if you build an agent, it'll remember your preferences and everything. But that's not really how, like, say, the art generation part would work anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's just interesting to me because I think part of that leaning away from even caring about institutional memory comes out of the fact that we live in the era of like the internet and people feel like you can just search online for anything. So you don't need to have institutional memory.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I've had issues where I'm like, man, I can't find this thing. Let me Google it. And I'm like, no, you're physically trying to find, like, you're trying to find a magazine in your apartment. Google does not know where it is.
Yeah. And personally,
That's bad.
I hate how many times I'm like, what was the name of that actor? He was in that show, and then I wind up Googling it, finding it, rather than taking the extra 25 minutes it may have taken me to formulate and remember 100% who the hell the guy was. But there it is at my fingertips, and it's slowly turning me into a dimwit. So that's just. I got to stop being on my phone all the damn time as I talk to you while you're listening to this on your phone. So on second thought, don't stop using your phones. Listen to comments.
Like and subscribe.
Exactly. Like and
Yeah,
subscribe.
don't show up at our homes to record us.
No, don't.
20 years ago, I loaded up this program called iTunes
Yeah.
on my laptop. And I went to the podcast feed and they dropped down new episodes and there were little blue bubbles next to new episodes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Listening to it on my laptop. And then I had to download it and load it onto my iPod Nano.
Yeah. And there was this dude called the Duke of and the Wizard of Watish, and man,
All right, so
what a crazy time.
I'm going to take this quick moment here before we get into our next topic to discuss the month of May here for comic timing. As I did, again, I sort of brought up earlier that, 20th anniversary is upcoming, and basically the entire month of May is going to be a celebration month in various ways. On May 6th, Gold Team is going to be reviewing Astro City. So there's going to be a review corner episode with Murd, Shane, Kris, and myself for the first volume of Astro City.
Is that the Metro book you're reading, or the
very first volume? Whatever that first volume of Astro City is called, it's escaping me at the moment. But Busiek's first volume of Astro City is what will be covered in that particular episode. We are also going to be doing an episode.
This whole thing, or half?
No, not the whole thing. Like half of that. Like whatever the original first volume was. That's what we're going to be getting into.
1 through 6, maybe. Okay,
1 through 6, exactly. Yep.
Sorry, I got excited because I have this and I have not read it. Now I have a reason to read it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, dude. Read it. It's fantastic. Busiek is a wonder at creating universes, and he achieved that so well on Astro City. It's amazing.
I'm hot and cold on him, but I'm excited to read it.
For the most part, I'm a winner when it comes to Busiek, man. Like, I mean, come on, JLA Avengers.
Untold Tales of Spider-Man.
Untold Tales of Spider-Man, Avengers Forever, like, so many great books over the years have Busiek's name on it. Raph, you're muted. But
my first Avengers run.
Yes, your first Avengers run, correct? Yeah,
97, I think. The Heroes Return Avengers.
Mm-hmm. Yep, the very same. And then probably about a week after that, we haven't officially announced the when we're doing it, but Raph, Brent, Sean, and Jim of Raising Bullets and I are going to get together and record on Superman, Spider-Man, and Spider-Man, Superman. So that's going to be happening as another episode in the month of May. Sean and Jim have been one of our biggest collaborators over the years for various reasons, and both Raph and Brent had segments on Raging Bullets over the years. They just had their 20th anniversary, so congratulations to Raging Bullets on 20 years at that. And we're going to be doing that as well. But then the big one, which again, scheduled TBD. We will have this out there on the Comic Timing fan group, and we'll mention it on other episodes once we do it. It'll probably be closer to the not closer to the end of the month of May, because we'll have to work around Brent's schedule for that. But we're going to try to do a Zoom recording where we're going to invite on as many fans and friends of the show as would like to be there for it. Blue and Gold Team together on that one. And we're just going to have a 20th anniversary celebration. So
I have run one request for that episode.
Yes.
I would need one person in particular to call in.
Okay.
And Ian, Raph, I think Brandon, I think you know.
We'll try. We'll try.
I want to know where he went. I wanted him to call in.
He's still around. He still posts on Facebook occasionally. So
I have not seen it. He's not in our fan group, so I don't know. But
if you're listening to this,
the
Matthew
one
Guy,
and only Matthew Guy, I need you to call in, buddy.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I haven't heard that name on a podcast in a while, but I do still occasionally see him post and whatnot. So he's still out there.
We're still Facebook friends, I think.
Oh yeah. No, I'm still it'd friends with him as well. So yeah, it'd be great for him to pop by. But
hope he's okay.
I hope to get Rick Gordon maybe on, and a bunch of other, from old friends of the show and fans and whatnot.
It's Ziggo.
Hell yeah, Ziggo. No,
Ziggo.
Ziggo.
Pull Juan out from wherever he's at.
I'm Facebook friends with Juan again, so that's also a possibility. So
Juan's patrolling the streets, protecting their fair city, his fair city.
Yeah, and whew, man, he's in some good shape these days. But what our main thing is going to be for that is we're going to do. I haven't quite decided on a top 3 or a top 5 yet of the last 20 years of comics. Where we can do runs, we can do individual issues, whatever we're going to do, but that's going to be the main topic of that particular episode, and of course, just shooting the shit like we always do on these episodes. So, again, dates TBD for all of this, but once in particular we have the Zoom one locked down, we will be sharing that on the Comic Timing fan group. I'll also probably put it on Instagram and stuff like that. So stay tuned.
Pin the post.
Absolutely.
Will that be before or after Double or Nothing?
That will be probably before Double or Nothing, because I know Brent's going out of town at the end of the month, so we'll figure it out one way or the other. If as a absolute last resort, it has to be the first week of June. May is extended into June, so we'll figure it out. So either way, we're going to be celebrating the anniversary before we know it, and I'm looking forward to doing it.
Classic Raging Bullets move.
What-ish, baby. That's the way to go.
I love you, Sean and Jim, if you're listening.
So we're a pretty diverse crew here. So I feel bringing up a certain Comics Beat article that came out this may be a good idea. And we did talk about Comics Beat as being one of the last bastions of comics journalism, and James Portis III put out his article, DC Comics Blinded by Whiteness, looking at DC's recent history with black-led titles. Headline, there ain't none, unless you're a miniseries. And there has not been a black-led ongoing series at DC in, I believe the article said, more than 10 years.
No, that's not true, because I Am Batman.
I Am Batman is the last.
I Am Batman. I Am Batman.
Like 5 years ago, I think.
Okay.
Maybe less.
Right. Well, then five, or that was it basically in recent memory.
It's been years.
It's been years. Yeah, I know Batwing had one during the New 52 for a while. That was ongoing. So did Static.
John Stewart.
Static only had 8 issues.
Yeah,
in the New 52 relaunch.
Yeah, they didn't try with that.
Yeah,
we can get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. So I posted this in the chat group today that we have for the 7 of us.
Oh my God, they did one for this. Oh, I remember the it's been 0 days since DC fucked up
so
website.
This is the website. I don't know who set it up, but he references it in the article. So I've been clicking on it as you guys were talking about Gerry Conway, because I didn't have anything to add.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was digging into this, and I'm like, I'm excited about this because this is a hot topic, and I'm shocked. Honestly, I'm shocked because I remember reading I Am Batman. I didn't read all of it, but I was like, it's okay. It wasn't for me. And I'm thinking aloud, or not aloud. I'm thinking in my head, like, all right, who are the black DC characters that you would give this title to, that they're talking about? And I want to talk about Marvel too, because I think they're just as guilty. So I put in the chat the current list of DC publications and the Marvel ones. And DC So White has a great list of their past miniseries, and they do have seems like a lot of the black focused characters are just getting miniseries, right? Or a one shot.
Yeah. Naomi,
Aquaman the Becoming, Black Manta, another Naomi, Mr. Miracle, Source of Freedom. I didn't read that one. Nubia had 2 miniseries. Cyborg had a miniseries, which that was the Ivan Rice one, right? Or is that a different one? No, that's a newer one. That was a newer one. Ivan Rice had a
Stephanie Williams, maybe.
Yes, I think so. Steelworks, short-lived miniseries. Green Lantern War Journal. That's definitely the 12 issues by Steven Johnson.
Philip
Kennedy Johnson. I'm thinking of the guy who directed Ghost Rider.
Very
Black
different
Lightning.
guy.
I didn't read War Journal. I tried to read that and couldn't get into it. Anyway, Black Lightning, I've definitely read that one. Mr. Terrific Year 1, if you all haven't read that one, that is fantastic.
Yeah.
Really, really good stuff. So I don't know. I think they're making a good point that, hey, you don't have a main miniseries.
These are just the miniseries, though.
These are just the miniseries. There's not, so I guess let's look at the question then that I'm posing. Who are the black characters that they could give an ongoing to? You certainly have Jace Fox, Batman, who has disappeared off the face of the earth since his series ended. You certainly have Cyborg, and they have tried Cyborg a number of times. Black
Jon
Lightning, I don't
Stewart?
think they've really tried. And even when Black Lightning had a TV show on, he didn't have a comic book series, which to me seems wild.
I
No,
know.
he did. There was a Black Lightning series.
Yeah.
When
Well,
the
it
when the
was-
TV show was on, yeah, there was a
Well,
Black
yeah.
Lightning.
It was.
Well, they had like Black Lightning Year One at one point.
Yeah. No,
Year
it
one was
was
like
a
20
Black
years
Lightning
ago.
series that was drawn by Clayton Henry.
I remember that.
Clayton Henry.
Can't remember
That was
who the
during my
writer
Diamond
was.
days.
Is that
Oh.
the one that they're talking
Watch
about
me
here?
Google.
Oh, yeah. That's a miniseries. Yep.
Cold Dead
Lightning.
Hands?
Yeah, Cold Dead Hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the miniseries that they're referencing at the top of this
Right.
list.
Yeah. Yep.
Right after, or not
Oh,
right
yeah.
after, 9 years later from Black Lightning Year
When
One.
was the last time they used Naomi?
Season
Bendis?
1 and Season 2, 2022.
Mm-hmm.
The
Probably when she was in
That was-
Justice League.
That was 12 issues.
No,
Ha-
but have they used her since?
No,
Yeah.
not since Bendis stepped away.
Maybe during a DC Black Power issue.
I
Maybe.
personally believe that Mr. Terrific is ripe for it, and
Especially now.
especially now, yeah, with him being in the movie, being in Superman, definitely having more of a light on him than in previous years. He is absolutely the character that you could do that with. I still think Steel would work just fine as an ongoing series as well. And the Steel works in general. Like that's something that you could easily wind up building into, its own corner of the Superman universe, like it once was when Weezy was writing it, and build it back up into something big. Static, come on.
Yeah,
I think
Static. I think
yeah,
is
I'm
the
in the
biggest. I'm sure Donovan has a lot to say because he loves Static. I think Static
Yeah.
is DC's biggest black character.
Mhm.
And-
I think we were
No?
all not talking about the elephant in the room.
What?
The guy who's about to get a TV show,
Oh yeah,
Jonathan
Jonathan
Stewart.
Stewart.
Jon Stewart. Yeah.
John Stewart.
He is
Okay. Well,
he is their biggest black character. I
So-
would argue.
Yeah.
Arguably, if you want to take the I don't know, negative Nancy's sake, I guess you could call Green Lantern Corps DC's Black Book right now because it is featuring John Stewart. It's featuring Sojourner Mullen, not Sojourner Truth.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Joe
I'm
Mullen.
dumb.
Yeah.
Joe Mullen, and is it Kelly, the little girl with the hand?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Green
I
Lantern.
guess you could call that DC's Black title, but
Okay.
it's written by
That's
Morgan
cynical.
Hampton, and I talked
but-
to Morgan Hampton at. It's also got Guy Gardner in there. I talked to Morgan Hampton at MegaCon. He's a super nice guy. I told him
He
he's doing a
is.
great job. I
He-
really
he
love what he's
is.
doing on Green Lantern Corps. I did not realize that he'd been basically writing it since the very beginning, as he kindly pointed out to me. Only Jeremy Adams helped out, I guess, helped launch the book, but it's been mostly him since the beginning. So he's doing a great job. But
here's
I
the
endorse
problem.
what they're saying is that the title is Green Lantern Corps, not John Stewart. I get
Right,
it.
but here is the problem. This is a general problem. There is the perception. Dwayne McDuffie very famously pointed this out when he was on
Mhm.
Justice League, that if you have more than one black character on a team, it suddenly is designated by the fans as the Black Book.
Right.
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 I'm trying
So-
to find
No, I know that's not what you're
a
doing.
counter
I'm just-
thing, but
I'm
it's
just
called Green
saying-
Lantern Corps.
Right. No,
It's like
but
Comic Timing
but-
is a black podcast.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, there's more than one black person on the show. Therefore, no, I'm still white. But
homie, yo.
but here's my perspective.
Yeah.
So for those fans who don't know this already, from 2006 to 2008, I was the artist on Firestorm,
hell yeah.
Nuclear Man.
Yep.
And
Hell
the
yeah.
Firestorm
Probably when
that
I
I
first saw you.
drew was a young black man named Jason Rush. We got so much shit from certain corners because we replaced the original the original Firestorm Ronnie Raymond, who's now back in, I guess this is a miniseries
Yep.
that you're doing,
Mhm.
with a young black man from Detroit. It got so bad at one point, back when DC had their message boards. I used to go on the message boards and talk to the fans because, I'm me. And I went on the board one day and there was a thread. Somebody started a thread called Ditch the Black Dude. And it was like super, like it ended up being like super racist. Like there's so much like racism and sexism and misogyny. It was like around the time, right, with this issue 1 year later. This was around the time that this was happening. It had gotten so bad that at one point that somebody had linked the DC message board to stormfront.org,
Odd.
and then it got super racist. Like,
Ronnie Raymond was dead at the time, though. I mean, he was killed in Identity Crisis. So
yes,
what was
but he was. But they didn't know that when the book launched.
Right.
They introduced Jason without revealing what had happened to Ronnie because Identity Crisis was late.
Oh yeah. Interesting.
So by the time we revealed Ronnie's fate and tried to bring him back, and and for a little, like, we had him in the book for like 3 issues as sort of like a disembodied spirit hanging out in the Firestorm Matrix and like swapping back and forth with Jason. And I came across those pages recently. But there is always going to be, unfortunately, a lot of backlash from the Guilo.
Yeah. There's unfortunately always going to be, and that's what's frustrating. Like, it's the vocal minority, but they're still vocal enough, and whether or not that is the majority of fans, the loudness of it all is something that the company wants to avoid. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't publish diverse comics, because quite frankly, like, there's a reason why there should be diverse comics, because readers of comic books are not just fucking white. Like, that's what it comes down to. Like,
they never were.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, look, man, like, I unintentionally created a very diverse show here amongst all of us, like
you regret it to this day.
And I regret it to this very day. Exactly. No, still. But, like, we have the voices that we have on this show that we've crafted over the years because of the different types of comic books that we're into, the different types of genres, the different types of companies that are out there, Marvel, DC, Image, you name it, you got it. And there is a comic book out there for everybody. It's just a goddamn shame that Marvel and DC at times have not seen it that way. And at this point, even though I'm enjoying a significantly less amount of Marvel comics, I do have to give them credit. Storm had an ongoing. Storm had an ongoing that was pretty damn good too. Like, one of the best comic books that they were putting out while it was on the stands. It ended during the whole, like, Age of X-Men thing, and then there was another miniseries that came out by the same creator. More recently.
It's like when she was like the full goddess or something, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Something.
Also, credit they insist on keeping Miles's having a book. It was just announced where it's about to come out that he's gonna have a new #1.
I was gonna say they're currently not publishing a Miles Morales book. They just ended it.
They're about to start another one
because they're starting a new one, but there is no Black Panther book, which is weird because they canceled.
Was supposed to be part of the Imperial thing.
Yeah, but that was the one thing that, like, they launched She-Hulk, they launched the other ones, but they never launched a Black Panther series to get canceled of the Imperial line. I don't know if they didn't have an idea or what, but yeah, I'm looking at the current things. X-Force does X-Force have Black characters in it now? I don't know.
Deadly Hands of Kung Fu has an Asian lead.
Okay, there's your Asian book. There's your one. I don't know.
DC has Batgirl. That's your Asian lead there. So
they have Psylocke. There's a Bishop miniseries that's coming out from Marvel soon.
Well, isn't Psylocke British again?
Yes.
No,
Yes.
no.
She's
Wait,
well,
it's Quanon, right?
Psylocke. Well, Betsy
Shylock is now
Braddock.
Quanon. Yeah.
Well, so Betsy Braddock is back in her original body. No legacy virus. She doesn't have her powers because I think she's still holding back the Shadow King. I'm a little behind. If anybody wants to write in and update,
I mean,
the
it's more
canon.
than I know.
So she's Captain Britain right now, and the Asian body is now Quanon again, and she's taken the role of Psylocke and wears the sexy ninja costume and does all that stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank God.
So they do get to operate in different spheres, like they're not in the same book. So I think, which I'm very happy about. I love I specifically like Betsy Braddock, so I'm very happy about this. But yeah, it was bad. It was a bad situation for like what, 30 years.
30 years,
Also, just to confuse things even further, Tim Seeley just put out a miniseries set in the past with Betsy Braddock, Psylocke as an Asian. So it was like right after the whole Quanon thing went down. It's Tim Seeley, so I'm sure it's good. But at the same time, it just muddies the waters even further on people not knowing or not knowing.
I only recently learned the reason it got so confusing about, Psylocke switched bodies with this person, blah, 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 was entirely because Fabian Nicieza didn't read the correct issue.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep. And it wasn't
believe
supposed
it.
to last that long either, too.
Yeah. Fabian, we love you, but yeah.
So
Read.
I would posit this. I don't think Marvel is any better than DC in terms of black characters. I think they are just perceived better because they got lucky, and or they got lucky. They had two movies that were very successful that they can leverage two black characters off of. I'm talking about Black Panther and Miles Morales, right? Yeah. So it seems like they can recycle those two characters, having ongoings or miniseries, whatever, into infinitum, and they don't use their other black characters as much. We're talking about the other characters having miniseries of Storm and Bishop, and we just went through the list. DC's a little bit better in terms of using their black characters. They're only getting miniseries, like we pointed out, but seems like DC's using a bigger roster of black characters, including the Milestone universe, every time they try and restart it with the new the owners of it every 5-10 years. I don't know. But the general DC universe seems like they have there's a more focus on using their roster of black characters as opposed to Marvel. That's my theory.
I think it's because DC is a bit more, especially right now, legacy focused. And so they're not going to retcon away Steel. They're not going to retcon away Vixen or anybody.
Or for that matter, Jaime Reyes or Kyle Rayner, like other characters of color that they could easily wind up whitewashing away if they really wanted to, but that's not what their bag is.
I would also say that like DC is probably using more of the roster because even if they have their iconic black characters, none of them are the runaway like hits that Marvel has had.
Right.
Because Black Panther was a cultural phenomenon.
Absolutely.
Static like sticks out because of the excellent cartoon, right? And then again, we go cultural phenomenon again with the Spider-Verse movies. So there's like DC has characters like, again, like Steel or, but they just don't have the same stature. So they do have that. It is both a blessing and a curse because it means
Static is the one that they've like tried the most with, I feel like.
But, and I'll point out, of just about all the characters that we're talking about, the character that was actually created by a black person.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, like, did anybody read Milestone season 1? Because I did. Because I love Milestone.
I read Static season 1. I couldn't get into the hardware stuff, and so I didn't continue after that.
I'm very behind.
I did read the
Same
Dakota
here.
incident, which I did like, but I was a little bit thrown off that they're now like retconning their whole universe into the past DC universe, much less seems like a total reboot of it as opposed
that was
to
very
the
much the
before.
intention because they just Wade came out with the history of the DC universe, which makes basically every single thing counts, including Milestone, because Milestone was originally separate. And now they're saying around the time that Luthor, as you read, as Luthor is president, he basically like put a kibosh on it, which also kind of renders a lot of season 1 out of continuity because that was their big reboot. And when I was talking to Joe Illich, I was asking like, how does the current Milestone continuity reconcile with that? Because that was sort of their chance to do Milestone again. Like for instance, the Big Bang, which was originally like a gang war, now happened during a protest, and so they're kind of like blending a bit. I feel as though that, like, as you were saying, Brent, like, with the miniseries and the recent efforts, there, the effort is there, but I think ultimately it is it is just odd that, like, there just is an insistent on just not kind of committing to titles. I mean, they've tried giving Cyborg titles for I think 10 years, and I like Cyborg personally. For me, he's never been like I want to see his solo adventures all the time kind of character, especially because the original Titan series was such a great ensemble piece.
Yeah, I agree.
So my feelings towards him go the same thing with like Gar Logan or Raven or Starfire. I don't need to see them have solo adventures when they work well as an ensemble piece. But if you read like the original Steel series from the 90s, that of the spin-off books from the Reign of the Superman, that one lasted like 45, 50 issues.
Oh yeah.
The Christopher Priest run near the end of that was excellent. But by that time, I think that, like, it had begun waning readers after the Louise Simonson run, which was a shame. But that was practically a milestone book. It was very high quality. Like the Static book and the New 52, I didn't think it was very good because I think like they had too many rotating writers. The story didn't make sense. His sister was cloned. It was crazy. So like you want a solid effort. And what happened last month with the Dakota incident was that, like, so many people who want a Static book were encouraged to make sure that book sold out so we can legitimize we will be there if they put out a Static book. The problem is that, like, oftentimes when they do these kinds of books, they don't tend to sell well because the minority of the group of comic readers are, people who are invested in those Black characters, but some people just want to continue reading Hal Jordan. So it's not. I wouldn't necessarily suggest that, like, well, DC just doesn't have its eye on the ball and they don't give us the opportunity. I think part of it is honestly the readership, but I would still suggest that, like, I would still say that, as you're saying, enough effort has to be put forth. If Jace Fox is going to disappear and his book's getting canceled, he should still be in Batman storylines. He can't just go away. He can't end up like Jean-Paul Valley.
I was gonna say, Azrael's gone, bro.
Where is Duke Thomas?
Yeah, where's Duke?
Thank you.
And the sequel's around. He's around.
He's around.
But he operates during the day.
Oh, you know what?
See him.
Didn't Duke show up in the issue where Static was just reintroduced, like in that KO tie-in? Was he one of the kids?
Oh, that one. The kids are all fighting. I don't think so.
Really? Okay, all right.
But Duke, if there's like a group Bat Family splash page, he shows up. He's there with like Stephanie and Cass. And stuff.
You know what it was? Okay. He was there. Yeah, exactly. What you're saying, Bat Family wise, but I think he was also part of like a couple of splash pages in that one where Batman faces all of the Robins grown up.
Whatever happened to Batwing?
Yeah. What about who?
Batwing
From the New 52. I
Well, the first one,
His
retired.
brother became Batman.
It was like
You had the African Batwing.
Yeah, David.
Yeah, and he retired.
They got rid of that guy.
Right.
They had Tim Fox, which I did like that story a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then for whatever reason, they decided to make his new brother, who I don't remember reading about in that Batwing story, Jace Fox, the new Batman.
Fox.
Yeah, Lucius Fox has a big family.
Yeah.
How many brothers does this guy have? And a sister?
Well, I mean, like, and every year they do the DC Power comics where they kind of highlight like their Black characters. I mean, like one of the recent ones they highlighted Bloodwind, which I thought was pretty cool.
And I do really
Getting
love,
an action figure.
I do really love that both Marvel and DC do things like that, where they have their one shots, for Black History Month, for the LGBTQ and all that, like for Pride, like they do actually go out of their way to highlight those characters.
I used to get one.
but
It's a
it
double-edged
really
sword
is.
though, because like it does feel sort of like a token special at the same time.
It's a gold. It's basically the little gold star in the classroom when these characters should be operating in the general universe just like any other characters, just
Also,
be treated normal.
Yeah.
You know.
Also, I think the problem is like Marvel is kind of slavishly beholden to synergy right now, so that's why you're not going to see a lot of those Black characters because that's not what they're casting right now. That's not.
Where's Rhodey? Where the hell is Rhodey?
Exactly right.
I know.
Where is Rhodey? Rhodey has not been in Iron Man books in like the last 3 series, I think.
Yeah.
Since Fraction left.
Yeah.
Right.
Really?
Yeah. Like
Yeah, Rhodey had a bigger. He had the War Machine Iron Man book at the end of the Knopf run. It wasn't Knopf that wrote it. It was the Knopf son's father-son team. But right as that series ended, he took over as Iron Man for 4 issues. and then he had like an Iron Man 2.0 series that was all Rhodey, and then Rhodey had a role in the Fraction run, I believe, from the middle towards the end. But I don't know. Yeah, I haven't seen him since.
That was
You
over
know
a
what I thought was
decade ago.
crap? Marvel did that like Bloodsport, like vampire storyline, and they sidelined Blade throughout all of it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What was
Yeah,
what,
that
who-
was
who's-
pretty bad.
Blade
whose
was the
idiotic idea
villain.
was that?
He was the villain.
Well,
But like
and-
he was like not in that book. I mean, I've seen that trade.
Right.
I also remember that Blade series that was supposed to launch back in the day that never did. That was supposed to feature Blade and his daughter.
Daughter, yeah,
Ah.
exactly, yeah.
So
I
I
bought
wanted
the
to
miniseries.
Yeah, I wanted to follow up on what Donna was talking about, how you still have like the readership is still stuck. And the article that kicked off this entire discussion made the point in that, and I've said this before on previous episodes, I've said it in articles I've written, is that we are still too beholden, like the comics is still too beholden to comic shops.
Yes.
And the fact is that most comic shops in the United States, and I'm going to assume abroad, you could again correct me if I'm wrong, are still owned by white men. I mean, I know this in 2025 because it's still a big deal. Like, oh, hey, this city's finally getting a black-owned comic shop, or hey, check out this shop, it's owned by women. Like that
Right.
shouldn't still be a big deal, but it is because again, the majority of them are it's white men, and I don't, obviously, I love all my white male friends, not in that way, but
My best friends are white.
Thank you.
Oh, I have white friends, okay? Okay,
My-
I have white friends, and some of them are good friends of mine.
my dad is white. But it's just there is still that sector of fandom, because I think also like, I've had this, I've come to blows, not physical blows, but like gotten into fights with comic shop owners because they are very much stuck in their ways. You recommend doing anything that's outside of what they're already
And they
doing.
don't want to hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, they get super pissy. When I still wrote for the comic book E-Mag, which was a newsletter that ran for like 15 years. It was like an insane amount of time, honestly. And I wrote a column basically saying like, why are comic shops not more like bookstores? Like, and I said like, you should have a chair in the corner. And of course, some guy wrote in to tell me how stupid I was. And
Yeah,
then of
but-
course,
One
and
of,
then
the,
like I was
one of the reasons Isotope Comics in San Francisco is what it is because they have that. So I rest my case.
I would say like a few years after I wrote this, like Bergen Street Comics opened up, and that had chairs and a meeting space and
Yeah.
a community. I remember walking in and they were having a discussion about Firestorm, weirdly enough, it was lovely. But yeah, they're very stuck in their ways. Like there's a reason, like we haven't, the article points out that like digital sales and digital reads aren't counted the same way. They still rely on single issues, even though I think most kids don't buy single issues because we've again talked about this before. A single issue of a comic is a terrible value proposition.
Yeah, it's like $5 now. What the fuck?
Yeah, even digitally, it's a garbage business model, honestly.
Yeah.
And like that's why kids tend to gravitate towards, they read webtoon. If they do want to get into, superhero comics, they're probably doing more like, DC Infinite and Marvel Unlimited. And then, and I would say it also goes with minority readers. I could say queer people, black people, all sorts of groups. And we're just like, if you're not going to serve me, fuck off. I'll go do something else that you can't even track.
Hell yeah.
There's a reason why I think, like why anime and manga have such a huge community among Blacks and Latinos, and like because they're actually serving the audience, which is weird because like we're talking about something from Japan, which is a kind of a racist country.
But they do have better representation because you see Japan's affinity for Black people, even if it's sometimes misguided. And whenever they do invoke other cultures in the modern day, it tends to be a lot more appreciative. And there's a lot more queer content that's just straight up, even if it can be kind of like exploitative in a way.
Yeah.
Like it's still there for them. I mean, because to kind of just cartwheel back, like when Jamal was talking about all the shit he was getting for Firestorm. I mean, I remember when Miles Morales came out, and this is like just well before the movie. I mean, he is an accepted character in the culture now, but the comic book culture really. But in 2011, that was kind of like my loss of innocence. I was truly shocked how much of a big shit deal people took that for an alternate universe character to run around being called Spider-Man. And I had to argue on podcasts that like there's so many different versions of Spider-Man up to this point. Miguel O'Hara was around for 20 years before that, clones, all these kind of things. And then like the idea that an alternate universe Spider-Man could be black, and people were like, he's drawn like Obama or whatever. I was like, you sound insane. And like I think it is to the grace of the Spider-Verse movies that had kind of really shut that up. And it's, the character was popular enough in the comics at that point, but it is a battle with some of these people. Like I'm sure if they would introduce more characters of color now, it probably is just sort of that regulated hassle, and it kind of depends on the media to popularize them. I do think though that like it's easier for these characters to be kind of made more popular. Like Mr. Terrific was the breakout character of Superman, and so there is going to be less static, like the actual static to kind of get through when it comes to characters of color and minority characters. But it kind of depends on the media more so than the actual comics themselves, and then the comic books in turn kind of become dependent on that, which is a sticky situation.
Well, Spawn is the longest running.
Thank you.
Character.
Yes, you're right.
Comic book, I believe, over 300 issues.
Yeah,
and they don't want to admit that he's black because anytime he takes his mask off, he's got that scarred face or whatever. Like, I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah,
he got his lips burned off.
Yeah, and also the
he was a good-looking man.
The only
he's a rotting corpse.
The only Obama in comics, and the only Obama with Spider-Man was the actual issue of Spider-Man with Obama in it.
583.
And President Superman is the only real Obama in comics. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. That's it.
There's Barack the Barbarian from Devil's Due.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that shit.
I have that. I just found it like last year, and I was flipping through it, and I was like,
oh my god,
this was a thing.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
And also as the only person here who was the heart and soul of the main branch of one of the largest comic book chains in the country,
Mile High Comics. No,
Mile High as the floor manager of Mile High Comics,
the comic chain. You guys have 3 stores,
three stores, and an incredibly large online presence.
Coliseum of Comics has like 6 stores.
Look, I don't represent them anymore. You don't got to come after me, Jesus. I'm just saying the amount of time. Oh God! And as someone who had to ring up Mr. Comicsgate himself.
Oh my
God! The amount of times that I had to have these discussions about Miles, about any POC replacement for a character, like a mainline white character. Oh, I miss being on the inside. I have never been more. I've just said this in the group chat. I have never been this out of tune with comics since like I was in the 5th grade. It has been 24 years nonstop of week to week being in the comic book store and being in the zeitgeist and completely knowing and being part of everything. And now I'm just like kind of out of it. And then I think about all these things I had to do and all these people I had to talk to and all these really dumb arguments I had to break up and all these really terrible people I had to talk to. And maybe it's good I'm out. Just a bit. Just a teeny bit. Richard Meyer.
Yeah.
Richard Meyer, that scumbag, who name dropped me on his podcast. He was like, oh, this place, you know what? Things suck, man. Everything just sucks. This comic book store I go to sucks. Everyone there just sucks. And I'm like, name me, you fucker. Oh, I dare you to name me.
By the way, completely unrelated, but also somewhat related. If you are at a comic book convention and you happen to see the name Rob Granito somehow on the floor, I want to go ahead and remind you to immediately report that motherfucker for being there.
Can we
AI before AI.
Yeah. So to remind everybody on who this is, Rob Granito is one of the biggest fakes and phonies that has ever attempted to exhibit at
the sweat artist of all time. Oh my god.
Wait a minute. He worked for Jay Didlio. All right. And so did Jamal at one point.
It will always be legitimate.
Yes, exactly.
He
And
has worked for Marvel. He's done trading cards also.
He did Invader Zim.
most importantly, Raph bought a print from Rob Granito.
So this is what this is the takeaway point I'm getting right now.
Yeah.
Is Rob Granito
When we were at MegaCon and we didn't know any better, Granito.
Oh my God, we did.
Yeah, Granito
Oh my
was
God.
exhibiting on the
No,
floor.
Brandon,
Dude, I didn't see him.
I found my prints. This is actually like 10 years ago at this
We didn't
point.
know he
No,
was who
the
he
last
was.
time
at
he
the
came
time.
to MegaCon was like almost 20 years ago.
Yeah,
No, I'm saying I found out I got Granitoed about 10 years ago because I had moved, and while I was going through my stuff, I found my thing of like prints that I had bought, and I'm flipping through it. I'm like, wait, did I get Granito? And lo and behold, there was a Batman the Animated Series print with Batman, with BTAS Batman, and Gurr from Invader Zim as Robin.
Yes.
And in the corner it says Granito on it, and I was like,
You guys always did love those prints that were like crossovers of different properties at the time, and I never understood.
I had
you guys bought all that shit. It's like if there was a Marvel and a DC character with an anime character, you guys were all in at the time.
I had Jon Stewart Green Lantern.
So do
yes, I remember that.
Yep.
I told John Stewart I had that actually because he came by the store.
Yeah, but
I've met John Stewart. Yes, he and I are very good friends.
You're not very good friends.
No, we're not. Well, no, he barely knows who I am. It's fine.
I did just get tickets to a taping of the Late Show with Stephen Colbert before it closes. So I'll be there next week. But
or he starts his revenge tour.
Oh, he's going to. You know this. He'll probably start a podcast just like Conan did. It'll be a thing. But yeah, just to close it out, like diversity is not evil, okay? Like, and diversity is not something that does not sell. You just have to actually like water the tree. You have to actually put effort into the promotion of it, and you have to give it a goddamn shot. And if you don't, you can't go around saying, "Oh, it just doesn't sell. It doesn't sell. It doesn't sell."
I would go further. I would say that like diversity is necessary.
Yes.
I mean, like I remember kind of coming into the podcast scene, and the communal understanding was that like Jeff Johns is kind of a joke because Barry Allen and Hal Jordan are boring characters. Like, granted, they were replaced by I mean, I know Kyle Rayner is like half Hispanic, but he does pass white often. But like generally, like like we enjoy the diversity of history in regards to the comic book. We enjoy the history of Luke Cage. We enjoy the history of Rhodey, those characters, and understanding, he wasn't just War Machine. Like, he was Iron Man at one point, and the increasing legacy of that. The era of Sam as Cap, and the different versions of Black Panther, all kind of stuff. And like to the point now where we have this kind of comic book discussions on the comic timing. And we're not like patting ourselves on the back for the diversity of it, or whatever. We have diversity of opinions. Jamal, what do you think? Or
right.
Brent, that's a hot take or whatever. Or Raph ranting about something. But like, we're so familiar with understanding how it was not only in our lives, but in our fiction that like to kind of, I think it's really passe to see diversity as a, oh yeah, every now and then that's good. No, it should be the aim, because otherwise, like, comics do deserve to die because you're showing us the same thing without any diversity of thought, diversity of experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
then you need more diversity of creators as well.
Hell yeah,
that's like the biggest impediment to, I think, a lot of what is going on at both Marvel and DC is you don't have that diversity. At least on the writing side, you don't have as much diversity as you could have, as many disparate voices, and a willingness to not just promote the characters of color, the Black characters in this case that you already created, but invest in the time, the money, and the will to create new characters as well.
Well, look, Jamal, at least we can look at the fact that there are significantly fewer Black characters with skateboards these days. I think.
Oh my God!
Bring him back.
Hey, you leave Rocket Racer alone, okay? You leave him alone. He is a perfect boy and has done nothing wrong, okay?
I can't. Again, I must invoke the spirit of Dwayne McDuffie.
Yes.
and his what was it? It was Shredder Force or whatever. Whatever.
It was it an acronym?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm gonna find it.
Rocket Racer, Night Thrash.
Oh yeah.
Okay, hold on. I think I found it. Okay, yeah. So Teenage Negro Ninja Thrashers.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Hell yeah.
Rocket Racer, Night Thrasher, and Dark Wheelie. A black
Dark
guy on a
Wheelie,
skateboard.
ooh.
Yeah, that was his new character that would be introduced with this series.
I did tell you before that, like, if you read whatever run of Spider-Man where Rocket Racer was introduced, there's a scene where Spider-Man and him are kind of like going across the city, and cops find them, and they kind of like call it in. All units. Spider-Man is entangled with some costume character. Description: he's a Negroid. I remember reading that like he's a what?
Oh God!
He's a
Kitty
black
Pride,
robot.
is that you? Kitty, is that you? Drop the M-bomb again?
I never heard of that term before. I was amazed.
And I will just, at least just for 2 seconds, point out, why did it have to be the Jewish female character that dropped the N-word all the time? Like come on.
What, Ian, Ian, if I had a nickel for every time she said I have 2 nickels, which is a lot, but it's still weird it happened twice.
I know.
Three.
Oh,
Three times.
three times.
Yes,
3 times
yes.
now, yes. Oh my God.
She said at like a church.
And it was like a memorial service, even.
I want to point out at least a little bit more of this. I'm sure I've read it on the air before because we've talked about this memo before, but this is a surefire hit as it contains all of these popular elements: circa 1974 clothing and hairstyles, bizarre speech patterns, unrecognizable in any member of any culture on the planet, a smart white friend to help them out of trouble they get into. They're heroes who could be you if you were black, I mean. They're on skateboards, and they have an attractive white female friend to calm them down when they get too excited.
Oh God,
Yeah.
that is like, oh my God.
Meanwhile, I mean, the list of, because you're mentioning Kitty Pryde, like Kitty Pryde, The Thing. I know there's like discourse on whether like Scarlet Witch and Magneto are Jewish, because Marvel does have a notable collection of Jewish characters.
They do, yeah, which makes sense considering their lineage. Stanley Lieber, shockingly, there's going to be a couple of Jewish characters in there with
Jacob
him and Kirby
Kurtzberg.
around. Exactly, yeah.
Jakob Kutzberg, you mean? Yeah. Who'd have thought that one there, huh? No.
I mean, Ben Grimm is Jack Kirby, like plain and simple. Like that, he was the archetype for him, and he basically, put himself in the comics, and that's him with the stove. Like,
I remember 20 years ago
there was an
online idea that Peter Parker was Jewish.
Yeah, which is ridiculous because he's not.
Well, I mean, one of the Spider-Verse versions is.
Okay, yes, one of them.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, because Chris Pine, Spider-Man, is some flavor of Christian, probably Episcopalian.
Mm-hmm.
But Peter B. Parker, as played by, was it Jake Johnson?
Mm-hmm.
Jake Johnson,
Yeah, he's Jewish because we see him under the chuppah breaking the glass to his wedding to Mary Jane. I thought that was I'm sure that was a cop to the ethnicity of the actor, but I like the little difference. Like, I don't think a lot of people really would have picked up on how they made those two Spider-Men different in that way.
And there's at least one Spider-Man out there that's a Yankee fan instead of a Met fan. There's at least one. Like,
he's a bad guy.
Did Peter B. Parker ever meet the Jewish traveler?
Jewish traveler.
Yes, the Jewish traveler. Okay, so that is a deep cut. It's been 20 years of comic timing, ladies and gentlemen. Go back into the Amazing Spider-Cast archive if it still exists, and if not, I still have the picture that I will once again post for you guys. But I put a yarmulke and a beard onto the character Judas Traveler. And I turned him into Jewish Traveler.
As offensive as it sounds.
God, you know what? We were so young back then, guys.
We're such different people now.
Oh,
we were in our 20s. We could do shit like
What
that.
makes me laugh is Peter, like the way that Batley drew Peter's reaction to him. If you were the Jewish traveler, that's just so funny.
You know what? Actually, I might be able to find the text that I wrote in there. Let's see, Jewish traveler.
Oh God.
Jewish
I
traveler.
found it immediately. Found it immediately. So I photoshopped it to say you were late. You were late for temple today, Peter. Traveler. Also, where the hell is your yarmulke? What do you care? If there's this is all Peter's original dialogue from the comic. If there's anything I learned about you last time, it's that people don't matter to you. We're just chess pieces for you to move around. What? So I'm a monster for wanting you to act more Jewish and stop being so damn white all the time. Oy gewalt.
Imagine, like, I'm in the costume of Judas Traveler. Also, I'm like, that is super.
He's gonna monetize this episode, right?
Oh, we're fine. We're fine. It'll be fine. And on that,
if you find this devastating, you can use our sponsor. Talk. What is it?
BetterHelp.
Honestly, that image is more awesome than I remember.
If we're getting BetterHelp money, I need a plane trip to NYCC.
Oh no, we trust me, we ain't getting no BetterHelp money, but we're lucky to get about $10 or $11 per month on ad revenue right now, which, by the way, not bad, but
Thank
whatever.
you
Yeah, exactly. Thank you guys very much
$11
for
you didn't have
continuing to
before.
listen to the show. Let's get into recent reads, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this sucker up. Raph, I'll go ahead and start with you. What you've been reading?
Me? Oh God, jeez. I haven't read the Superman Superboy yet, but I have read. I'm up to date on the Absolute Trinity, so Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, including the Batman Wonder Woman sort of crossover they did a couple months ago. Really interesting, really cool. And I'm enjoying the continuation of the story. Bane is freaky. The Joker is freakier. I like this. I like that they haven't changed much about Veronica Cale and Diana's relationship. And Superman is still my favorite of the three. Even if I am heavily biased, I just think it's a much more enjoyable story for my sensibilities, where Superman's trying to fix the world and also figure himself out, because he's like 18. He hasn't been raised by the Kents or anything like that. He's still trying to figure out who he is. And he's just trying to be a good dude. And isn't that what we all try to do? So aside from that, I finished Imperial, the entire miniseries of the now defunct line.
Boo.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. It was good. It was enjoyable. I liked it. It's Jonathan Hickman. I always like Hickman.
My problem with that one was like it's all set up. It's all set up for these miniseries.
That
It wasn't
they
an
canceled.
actual story.
Right. We got parts of a story, but that I was excited to continue. To be fair, I was excited to continue.
I realized that like you could look at House of X, Powers of X it's all set up for the Krakoa era, but like at least in those 12 issues, I felt like I got a story.
Yeah, it was just I felt like he was just trying to establish a new status quo for like all the like galactic powers, and now nothing. Doesn't matter. So that's a little disappointing, especially since Imperial Guardians has arguably the best Marvel character ever created, Darkhawk. And aside from that, I read the first 8 issues of the Godzilla main series for the Kaisei era, which is about a kid who has these powers from this energy source Kaisei, which comes from Godzilla, and he now has the powers of Godzilla. And now he's about to face off against this universe's version of Biollante. That one's pretty solid. I've read through, unfortunately, the 3-issue run of our friend of the show, Freddie Williams' Ninja Turtles run. That was pretty solid. I'm not quite done yet because I think I have to pick up the next 2 issues, including this month's. And it's Splinter's. For spoilers, if you haven't read this reboot series with Jason Aaron, Splinter's back from the dead. Death is less permanent for the Turtles than it is for the X-Men, and he woke up and has decided that to protect his sons, he's got to kill all their enemies brutally. And
Awesome.
The boys don't like that. Except for Raph, because Raph is the sensible, wise one, and he obviously knows that the only way to deal with your enemies is to murder them brutally. let's see, what else is that? I bought Rulers of Earth, the little the 2012 2011 miniseries, where it's basically like a combination of Destroy All Monsters and Final Wars, where like every single monster shows up. There's an alien invasion and explosions everywhere, and the humans are trying to figure out what's going on, and Godzilla's on their side. And it's really like, it's just a wild IDW tribute to all the monsters that ever existed. I'm only halfway through. It's a lot of fun. Lower Decks. I've read through most of the Tim Sheridan run. I'm down to the last 2 or 3 issues. Tim, you did a great job. All the references are on point. If you ever get hired again at Lower Decks, I'm glad to consult. Don't need to credit me. Just, use whatever I got. I'll tell you which episode of TNG is the one with Amanda Grayson. It's season 6, episode 15, I think. True Q.
Good job.
Let's see. What else did I read? Last ones. I think that's it. Oh, Batgirl. I read volume 2 of Batgirl.
Oh, nice.
Basically retells the origins of Lady Shiva Wusan. It retcons a little bit. She has a sister. They still do the sister thing, and like she kills her sister, but also like incorporates.
Her sister was always around.
Does it?
Shiva.
Was she?
Yeah, her sister part of the origin from like
No, but she's always
Richard
killed her
Dragon.
sister, right?
No, her sister was killed and she wanted revenge.
Right. No, this time she was forced to kill her sister in order to become a better fighter, because her sister was better than her.
David King killed her, implied.
Oh,
in
that's
Batgirl.
right. I'm sorry. I finished that.
That is a retcon. That is a retcon.
Yeah, they did. Basically, they retconned her story a bit, and I've got to read I've got to read the issues that make up volume 3 now, and I think that's it. I haven't touched a lot of Marvel. Oh, no. I read the first issue of Deadly Hands of Kung Fu. Pretty cool. Elektra's in there. It's a new Iron Fist, not Danny Rand. Pretty good. I enjoyed it. I got to read issues 2 and 3 now.
Excellent.
That's it. I read a lot for someone who's like behind on 6 years worth of stuff.
Well, that's good, because long ago I decided I'm just going to jump around and read whatever the hell I want, because like I'm too far behind on anything to actually go back and just read everything that I missed. So I agree with that.
I also don't know where the boxes are for the older stuff.
Also a good way to not have to immediately read them.
True.
So I'll go through my recent reads real quick. Starting off with a read that I read, compliments of the Comics Plus library app, and that of course is the first issue of Muppets Noir, which just came out from Dynamite. Roger Langridge returning to the world of the Muppets after a couple of years of not being around for them, and it's basically everything I wanted it to be. Like setup for it is pretty simple. Kermit's prepping for a new season of the show, and he has no idea what they're going to wind up doing, all while Miss Piggy baked him a pie and keeps trying to get him to eat it, but he's running around like a chicken with his head cut off, trying to do everything at once, until he gets conked on the head while relaxing in his office, reading his favorite noir crime novel, and then imagines himself as the detective, all while searching for a missing Miss Piggy that's right in front of his nose, because of course. It's silly, Muppets fun, exactly what you would want it to be. I highly recommend checking out Muppets Noir if you have not done so yet. It's available, anywhere you can find Dynamite, and if you have the Comics Plus app, it's available for free. So that's also very, very nice. So go ahead and check that out if you have not done so. Read the 50th issue of Batman Superman World's Finest. Mark Waid, that slouch Dan Mora, who never draws anything, came back to work on one of the stories of this book, that involving Dr. Destiny, So we get Superman and Batman inside of the dreamscape, dealing with Dr. Destiny, and then the second story involves the team of Robin and Jimmy Olsen trying to beat Supergirl and Batgirl to this lost artifact and trying to find it before them to prove that they are the better duo. So it's the Jimmy Olsen Revenge Squad, I believe they're called, versus Supergirl and Batgirl in that one. So Mark Waid, Adrian Gutierrez, Dan Mora, good comics there. Did read the first issue of Bizarro Year None by Kevin Smith with artwork by Nick Pitara. Nick Pitara is very Quitely, which lends itself well to Bizarro. I'm not quite sure if I'm sold on the story yet. Essentially, this is supposed to act as a year one or year none story of Bizarro. So the setup is Perry and Jimmy are thrust across the universe into this world that's been created by a interdimensional imp who's taken the facsimile of Superman and recreated Metropolis because he got a hold of a newspaper and got infatuated by it and then basically created this whole bizarre world. And he's not quite Bizarro yet, but he's getting there. It's well written, very modern. So it's 100% like if this was happening in today's world, like, Jimmy is young and, talking about how everything is cringe and whatnot. So modern slang all over the place in this issue. But if you do want to check out Kevin Smith's take on Bizarro, I'd recommend giving it a shot. What I wouldn't recommend is Jeff Loeb and Simone DeMeo's X-Men of Apocalypse. I read X-Men of Apocalypse Alpha, and then I read the first two issues of X-Men of Apocalypse. And man, is it a retread. It is. I mean, it's kind of the premise of it. What if Jeff Loeb had continued writing, Age of Apocalypse? But it's been done. Like, the Age of Apocalypse has existed past the removal of the Age of Apocalypse. And the story being told here is essentially somehow when the bombs went off, the universe continued. And the Magneto's X-Men are being manipulated by Sinister into going back in time into our main universe to try and find the pieces of the M'Kraan crystal to try to ensure that their universe continues and possibly our universe ceases to exist in favor of theirs. It's just very wordy, and I don't know. It just didn't work for me. Kind of the way that modern Claremont doesn't work for me. Modern Jeff Loeb doesn't tend to really work for me that well. And the artwork's great. Don't get me wrong. Simone DeMeo's artwork is very pretty, evocative of, Joe Madureira and artists of that particular era. But the story is just kind of there. And I hate the way that he writes Remy's dialogue. Like, his take on the Creole dialect, it's bad. I do not like it. And I know it's been done before. It seems even more cartoonish in this comic than it has in recent memory. So yeah, not a fan. Not a fan at all of what's going on there. But that's what I've read. So I will pass it over to Brandon.
I'm a little behind also, but I did make time to read Spider-Man #1. Not gonna spoil much because you guys are gonna talk about it in a couple of weeks, but it's honestly Mark Waid can't really do no wrong sometimes because it's just that good.
Yeah.
I have not read it yet, but it's next on my list is Teeny Howard's Sirens Love Hurts. I'm trying to get through that series now. And also, I just picked this up on a whim. Gargoyles X Fantastic Four.
Ooh, I've been meaning to read that.
those are my next two books on my list. And like as a person who's loved Gargoyles since like episode one, and I remember exactly where I was when episode one came on.
Mm-hmm.
I was shopping with my parents at a Sears appliance store, and they had it on they had it on the TV there. And I remember it was at 3:30 in the afternoon watching that. My life forever changed watching that show.
Yep.
So much that I went out and I got the Gargoyles VHS with board game also.
Ooh.
Hey kids, back in the day, they used to do something called VHSs. They were these black rectangles you put into a device,
What?
and it would replay the show you watched or the movie sometimes also, but one direction. But you had to rewind it if you want to watch it again. It's amazing, guys. Technology was just.
What if I don't like One Direction?
You know what? That's what makes you beautiful, though, Raph.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Be kind. Rewind.
Yes, but yeah, that is probably actually I'm going to skip to probably read that one next because it's Gargoyles and rent free in my head the last 30 some odd years. So yeah,
Absolutely. Yep. Kris, what do you got?
Sorry, I was like trying to find something real quick. So I haven't really been reading too many American things lately, just trying to catch up because I got really behind on like my manga. Uh, I will point out that there is a manga that I read last year that I thought was really good, Kagurabachi,
Mhm.
and they just announced that it's going to be made into an anime. So this
Yes,
is probably
they
a great time to what?
Yes, it
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a great time to probably jump on board. You can read it through Shonen Jump, or you can get the volumes from the library. It's basically like a modern contemporary world, but there's magic, there's sorcery, and there was just a war. And the war was basically won by these six magical swords that all have like different powers. And they were made by this one sword maker. And, the war ended and he went into semi-retirement because nobody needs magical swords. And then somebody steals the swords and kills him. So his son has to go on a revenge tour with like the one secret sword that his father made. It's very, very classical shonen stuff, but I think I like interesting magic systems, which I think is one of like the selling points of it. And like the action scenes are just like that kind of big, overblown, larger than life type of stuff. So yeah, like that's one of the things I've enjoyed. I'm also on the more girly side. I've been catching up on Medalist, which is I know I talked about it in one of our shorts or some of the YouTube stuff. And that's a figure skating manga because figure skating is huge in Japan.
Yes.
It's second only to baseball in terms of sports over there.
Oh.
I know it's crazy, right? But this is about as I've talked about it before, but if you didn't hear that little short or you need a refresher, it's basically like there's like a washed up ice dancer who meets this little girl at an arena, and she wants to get into figure skating, but she's already like 11 years old, and everybody's just like, "Well, you're too old to start now," and he's just like, "You're never too old." So it's just this big underdog story. You will learn so much about figure skating because like right now the volume I just read, I think I just finished 8, and they were talking about like the scoring and how you have to have a certain difficulty to jump and like the way it's scored. And basically they said it's almost like having a I'll compare it to playing like Magic the Gathering and making your deck and making sure you have all the elements that you need in the deck. And for some, it's a little over the top because this little 12, like now, time goes by. So now she's 12 and she's doing like a quadruple sow cow, and I have no idea. Like, I had to Google it. I'm like, is that even possible for a 12-year-old? The internet's just like, yeah, there's like 12 women in the world who have done one. Shrug.
I mean, Brian
Yes.
Bortano did a triple sow cow.
Yeah, and like it's just so like I've been enjoying. Yeah, I'm just like catching up on my manga. I did mention previously on the show the Korizawa's Folly, which is about the washed up manga artist in 1971 who ends up tricking this illiterate dude into writing and drawing his newest hit. That one has escalated quickly because the dude that he's been duping finally found out, and rather than be like, "You have betrayed me," instead it's like, you know what? Let's keep doing this and blackmail everyone who knows. And
Okay.
I was like, oh, this escalated quickly. It's escalated so quickly. Not a comic, but there's a little bit of confusion on this. So NHK World just dropped a documentary called Our Comiquette's History, like 50 years. It's 45 minutes. It's about the history of Comiket from when it started in the 70s to the present day. They have a lot of footage from over the years. You can watch it on the NHK World website or through the app if you want to use the app. The confusion comes from the fact that Comiket tweeted about it and said that it expires probably before you get to listen to this episode. But if not, you have a year because according to the website, it says it doesn't expire till next year.
Oh, okay.
But it did make me message Raph and saying, "Hey Raph, you still going to Japan? Let's go to Comiket."
I would love to. I mean, the plan for Japan is next year.
Yeah. So yeah, for those who are not familiar, Comiket, I mean, it's short for comic market. It's where Japanese creators and like amateur creators go to sell their doujinshi, their fan comics. It's 2 days, and it is one of the biggest comic shows in the world. They get easily 350,000 people, sometimes half a million. I think it might have been half a million before COVID. Right now it's a little soft. My numbers suck. I'm sorry about that, but it's just absolutely crazy. It's at Tokyo Big Sight. And they even you have to go multiple days to get everything you want because they have different people on the different days at this show.
It's smart.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was looking, they had a chart showing like, oh yeah, if you want Love Live stuff, you have to go on the Sunday. And if you want I'm just trying to remember what was it what's what's the horse girl thing?
Uma Musume.
Yeah, if you want Uma Musume, you got to go on day 1.
All right.
Akushin.
Yeah, I'll give Ian the link so we can put it in the show notes. Hopefully it'll still be up.
Nice. Jamal, what do you got?
If I can recommend any book to you guys, this is the book that I'm going to recommend to you. It is called The Florida Hippo Cocaine Massacre. The
How do I not know about this?
Cocaine Massacre. It is published by Mad Cave. It is written by a radio DJ named Fred Kennedy with art by James Edward Clark. It is a bizarre comic. It is so much fun, though. It is basically about a drug dealer who runs a Florida amusement park called Disco Hippo Wonderland. And he's being targeted by the cops and the feds. And in order to escape, he pours a ton of cocaine in the hippo pool, and the hippos go nuts. While while this cop is trying to rescue his kid brother, the feds are closing in, the hippos are tearing through the park. It is so much fun. It is like the most bizarre 80s action movie that you could possibly imagine on paper.
Thank you very much for giving me the key art for this episode. I appreciate it.
Hippos have never looked scarier.
Yeah, I know. Seriously.
This is the Ulysses of our time.
It is. I got to see the first issue a couple of years ago from Fred, and like this was before he had before Mad Cave published it. It is so good. It is so much fun.
From the makers of Cocaine Bear but still. Beautiful. Got anything else other than cocaine?
Okay, so catching up on the Energon universe with G.I. Joe and Transformers. That's a big thing with me. Read Superman, Batman. Not Superman, Batman's. Superman, Spider-Man, and Spider-Man, Superman.
Nice.
Enjoyed them both. World's Finest. Green Lantern. Been really enjoying Green Lantern recently. There's a lot. But that was like the book that I really wanted to talk about.
And I highly appreciate it, baby.
Hippopotamus Massacre.
We all need a little hippopotamus massacre in our lives, really. You know.
Oh, one other book.
Yeah.
On the independent side, Minor Threats, the new Minor Threats miniseries.
Ooh, nice.
Oh,
Is really, 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 really good. So it is. What is the title? I gotta dig it up. Here.
Patton Oswalt, right?
Yep.
Yes. It is Patton.
The Archie crossover just hit Comics Plus, so I'm gonna have to read that just because it.
We just got that in our
entertaining.
store like yesterday.
Nice. Brent, what do you got?
I have recently read. I read the Mark Waid, George Perez, Brave and the Bold series from back in the day.
Ooh, nice.
That was fun until it wasn't. I think the first half's better than the second.
Yeah.
I read the Joker graphic novel recently. That was a good reread. That was pretty good. I read Hulk Gray. Did I talk about Hulk Gray? I didn't like it much. I did. I bought the Sword of Azrael Deluxe Edition. Which
You
did.
You bought a Sword of Azrael thing?
Surprise!
I watched your video.
I instantly read it the next day, and I was like, this story's not so great, but I still love it.
Yeah.
what do you mean? Yeah, it's not so great. It's impeccable.
No,
what are you talking about?
It's not a classic. Watch my video on YouTube, and then I actually was like, you know what? I'm still in an Azrael mood, so I reread the newer miniseries, Sword of Azrael by Dan Waters and Nicola Sejmekia. I can't pronounce his name. This one, that's awesome.
Nice.
And then I'm in the middle of Man of Steel Volume 2 of like the big hardcovers, the 80s Superman, John Byrne stuff I've never read. So slowly going through that, and then I guess I'm gonna read Astro City next.
There you go. And Dono.
Speaking of 80s Superman, my LCS, I found an old. I guess they published it. I guess they republished it like 10 years ago, but it was like a Crisis of the Crimson Kryptonite. I read that. It was fun. That's a very fun era, where they're taking Superman more seriously, proposing to Lois, and Luthor fakes his death, all that kind of stuff. That was just an interesting kind of trial era of the books to get into.
The best.
I finally finished Cyber 6, which I mentioned like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Because it's like every issue is like 100 pages. What was interesting is finishing it and then kind of going online and looking at the circumstances, because I guess in 1999 the Italian comics industry was kind of like, there was a lot of pay cuts for the artists and stuff like that. So that may have something to do with it. There was a lawsuit involving the creators and the ownership of the characters. So that was pretty interesting. I might do more of a deep dive on that later on. But that's done. I got the DC Finest Static collection
Very nice.
since we last talked. I've read these before, but not in forever. So they have most of the issues of the Worlds Collide crossover. Not all of them, because that's like a 14-part series. They've got every Static, I mean, not every Static issue, but like the first 15 Static issues. We want to be positive. So like, the writing's solid. I don't know if the original Static series ever had a great artist, to be honest. It's because the artwork's not very clear often. You can blame the inking or whatever, but I mean, Static as a character really works. It really is just like, a new generation Spider-Man. It's all right there. And I've seen it work other times. I enjoyed season 1. I enjoyed the young adult graphic novel Up All Night that they did. I thought that was excellent. That was a great marriage of the original comics and the television show. And beyond that, I guess I read Daredevil #1. It was fine. I kept up with Spider-Man Death Spiral, the Spider-Man Venom crossover. That like is kind of like a poor man's Maximum Carnage.
Okay.
The reason why people know about that is because they killed off Paul.
What? Yay!
And you could tell that the artist gave no shits, because he dies and like you see his body in the Yamcha pose.
It is the greatest thing ever.
Oh my god.
My jaw
That's
dropped.
beautiful.
I was like, this man don't care. So that was kind of fun.
Was Paul still with Mary Jane? Like, I mean, I know I'm not up to date. So okay,
No,
all right.
she
No,
dumped
they
him,
broke up.
and then
She dumped him
And-
before she became Jackpot, or just like right after.
Okay,
he
got it.
dies,
she-
and Spider-Man's
she
kind of like,
dumped him when she became Venom.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
what
right,
it
yeah.
is.
She dumped him, but they were still trying to raise Eddie Brock's son together.
yeah, that's exactly
Okay.
it.
Got
Yeah,
it.
he dies, and Spider-Man is like, Paul. Anyway,
Great. Beautiful.
You know that when Poochie isn't on screen, we should always be talking about Poochie. Just like
Poochie
when
or
Paul's not
Poochie.
on screen, we should always be talking about Paul. That's true.
I think it's the most metatextual comic book death I've ever read. Like it's done in a way where like, it's serious in the moment, but there's a lot of like wink, wink, nod, nod in terms of like, yeah, we know you guys hate this guy. We're not going to force you to like him. So like that happened.
Oh my God. Don't worry, he'll be back as the new Jackal in like 5 years.
my
You
God.
want to bet?
I wouldn't put it past him. They brought back
No.
like Betty's brother for an issue.
Worse.
They'll do anything.
No, it's gonna be worse. Across the Paulverse.
Oh God.
I just saw a Reddit comment saying he'll be reborn as the King in Pink.
Nice. I like it.
God.
I like it. Oh my God.
What an era to read comics.
And what a high note to end this episode on. So well done. Across the board, usual promotions for everybody, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this sucker up. Brandon, where can they find you?
You can find me where I'm sorry. You can find me where all people go to usually, which is on Threads. I am at the Davidown on Threads. I am not doing as much as I thought I'd be doing this year for panels. I have to work a lot more, so you can go see my co-host and best friend Ados Baron. He will be doing 2 panels. He'll be doing panels at Vikingdom Con, which is a local show, and then he'll also be doing a panel at Fan Expo, Philadelphia,
Oh shit! Nice.
on the main stage
Okay.
Nice.
on
Very
a Saturday.
All right. Wow.
Talking about metal heroes.
Ooh.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
So this is actually a pretty good time to talk about it since Space Sheriff Gotham has returned now. So yeah, he's going to be doing a whole liturgy about the history of metal heroes from inception all the way down to current era.
Excellent. And Raph?
Yeah, I guess you can find me places. I'm Raph does stuff everywhere, including on Twitch, where I do a somewhat regular stream where I do this except with myself and no one else out around there. Every other week, including this Saturday, I do a D&D stream. Otherwise, I just talk about either TTRPGs or comics or Godzilla or whatever comes to mind. By the way, Monarch Legacy of Monsters Season 2, really good. Yeah, Raph
So
does
many
stuff.
shows.
Too
Yeah.
many shows. Too many shows.
So much
Seriously.
Godzilla.
Yep. And you also edit YouTube shorts occasionally, but occasionally.
Considering I might just have to do a half-hour. You see this?
You
see
can.
this box right here? That's
You-
everything I've read since the last YouTube short.
Well,
right
you
here.
know, you know,
right
you
here.
know,
It's
know-
super full.
There's this thing we have called a Patreon, where if you want to just put out a half-hour version, which I could then snip it down over time, we can do that.
I just don't want the patrons to think that it's a half hour wasted.
No. That's something else.
No, different podcast. Right. Sorry.
Different podcast, different guy. Brad, love you. Frank, love you. All right. Brent, where can they find you?
I'm on YouTube as BK's Bullets, and you can find me on Threads.
Okay.
Fuck that blue sky shit.
Hey,
It never posts.
disagree entirely. But anyway, Jamal.
I am Jamal Eichel. I am Jamal Eichel Comics on Instagram. I am Jamal Eichel everywhere else except for Twitter. So fuck Twitter, X, whatever the hell you want to call it.
Yes.
You can find me at my website, which is jamaleichel.com.
Excellent. Kris?
So I am still on Blue Sky, and it used to take me 2 hours just to go through my feed because apparently I actually know people that post stuff. And then I had to mute a certain Japanese translator that we are friends with, and then suddenly it took me maybe half an hour to go through my feed.
Nice.
Yeah, he's in book promotion mode, so I'll grant him some grace. So I'm on Blue Sky as Lampane. That bsky dot was it com, whatever the last thing of that is.
Another reason why Blue Sky sucks.
bsky.app.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, I could put in a custom URL, but I'm lazy. So I also got a little poem published in Chatlog mag this week, which is it's like a little lit mag that they just want you to write stuff in video games. So I had a little poem that I put into Animal Crossing. I don't get paid for this, but it's kind of neat anyway. It's great for my ego. And to follow up on the Comic Get thing, my numbers were mostly correct. It was actually, I undercounted. It was 750,000 before COVID.
Holy hell.
And then and then post COVID there was a steep drop, and the last show in December was 300,000. So
that's still great.
yeah, it's still one of the biggest shows in the world. It was the biggest show before COVID. I mean, they probably would have hit 1 million if not for COVID.
More than likely.
That's too many people for Raph.
That's a lot of people, admittedly.
Yeah.
But
but they're Japanese, Raph. They're all wearing face masks anyway.
We'll hazmat. Everyone will have a hazmat suit. It'll be okay.
They're all gonna be running around in bubbles, like Bubble Boy bubbles.
Exactly.
Like,
we'll just bounce bubbles, and I'll Google Translate things to them.
Exactly. And out of his bubble, Dono, where can they find you?
Well, questions window of answers, the very podcast where the majority of you all graciously gave us your time and delivered an excellent episode or podcast earlier this month. Although when you listen to this, it'll probably be May, so early in April. After that, we recently had an episode talking about The Dark Knight Returns, which I think was a very interesting discussion because we talk about in 40 years how the fandom of Batman has been affected by Dark Knight Returns and how that's kind of turned in on itself. I thought it was a very productive conversation as well. You can also find me at dccomics.com. I'm a contributor there, stuff I've written. And I'm on Blue Sky as well as let's leave it at Blue Sky. But I'm also on Threads and stuff.
There you go. All right, and with that, credits. Email address for Comic Timing is comictiming@gmail.com. You can find us at Facebook, facebook.com/Comic Timing. That's also where you can find the Comic Timing fan group. We will post the Zoom information there, as well as anywhere else we can. We're on Blue Sky as Comic Timing. We're on Instagram as Comic Timing Podcast, and we're on Threads as Comic Timing Podcast as well. You can find me on Blue Sky as I Am Sci-Fi, and I Am Sci-Fi on pretty much everywhere else. And once again, fuck Twitter. So for everybody on this call, thank you as always for joining us. And as always, there's always time for comics. I do hippo cocaine.